26. We are in the Nauset Meeting Room of Town Hall. It is exactly 5 p.m. On the top of our agenda is the Zoom login information if you'd like to join us, or as well as by phone with the webinar ID. I'll call us to order and welcome everybody around the table as well as everybody in the room. With us, Select Board members Andrea Shaw-Reed, Michael Herman, myself, your chair, Kevin Galligan, Meph Runyon, also Assistant Town Manager Mark Reel, and we will get to the agenda. Michael, if you'd call the preamble, read out the preamble, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We acknowledge with respect that we are inhabiting the traditional lands of the Wampanoag peoples who have always existed here. We value their roles as past, present, and future guardians of this land.
Thank you. Any announcements of board members or staff? Not hearing any. I have one quick one, and I continue to get, and I see our DPW director in the back, I continue to get thank you from folks that I bump into out in the community of how well our staff pulled together to do. We're now in cleanup mode and still will be for many weeks and probably months ahead, but thank you, Rich, and pass along thanks to your staff. So we have a couple of committee interviews, appointments, and one resignation. 4th of July committee, great to see we've got more people interested in the 4th of July. Bonnie, are you here? Bonnie Hartung, come on up. Bonnie, say hello and let us know why you'd like to serve, although we kind of all know, but either is fine, whatever's comfortable.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Bonnie Hartung. I'm a resident in New Orleans, been here for 16 years now. We have 2 girls, Nauset Public Schools, and I'm the nurse at Nauset Middle School.
Wow.
My husband serves on the Board of Health, and I'm doing a little part and applying to be on the parade committee. So,
Awesome.
yeah, I go every year. Been going since I was a kid. I grew up in Brewster, so I'm excited to see what we have in store for this summer.
Great.
Yeah,
All right. Any questions for Bonnie?
Not for me.
No.
Thank you.
thank you.
This is fun. So Bonnie, what we'll do is go through a motion, and Molly will get you set up with a packet. So
Okay.
would there be a motion?
I move, Mr. Chair, that we appoint Bonnie Hartung as an associate member to the 4th of July Committee with a term ending June 30th, 2028.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
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 And Bonnie, you have been appointed, and Molly's got your sign-in information. Thank you very
Nice
much.
afternoon.
So I was just reminded, I did skip public comment. We'll come right back to that, but let's finish up the committee interviews and appointments. Next up, Christina. Come on up, Christina. Good to see you. Another 4th of July committee
Awesome.
applicant.
Yes, thank you for having me. My name is Christina Mack, and I would like to be a member of the parade committee. My husband works for the fire department. I'm a teacher at Nauset Middle School. I teach 7th grade English. My kids go to Nauset. I'm a big Nauset fan. Go to the parade every year. It's an exciting part of our summer, so I'd love to be a part of it and give some ideas and continue going to it and being a part of it.
Awesome. Any questions?
Christina, in the, and thank you for being at the middle school and everything your family does. On your sheet that we got, it says you've reviewed the agenda and minutes and you've checked your own schedule for the time. Have you ever seen a meeting or gone to a meeting?
Yes.
Great. Just so you know what you're getting into?
Yeah.
Great. That was it.
And we can zoom in from them as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That
Yeah.
works best.
Good. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we appoint with thanks Christina Mack for an associate position on the 4th of July Committee for a term ending June 30th, 2028.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Welcome aboard. Molly's got a packet for you. Get sworn in, and
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, one under appointments and resignations. We do have a resignation of Mary Walsh from the Council on Aging Board effective immediately.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept with gratitude Mary Walsh's resignation from the Council on Aging effective immediately due to illness.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, apologies for skipping over public comment. So there's now public comment, 3 minutes, no more than 30 minutes in total. Anyone here for public comment? Tom, please, come on up.
Good evening. Tom DeServo, Director of Recreation, Culture, and Community Events. I just wanted to make the residents aware of a couple of things we have coming down the pike. Our summer registration began on Monday, and we opened it up a month ahead of time for Orleans residents. We already have 67 registered for our summer program. So please, if you are listening to this, register now. We cannot guarantee after April 20th. On Saturday, we have our Easter egg hunt at Sea Call Farm at 11 o'clock. We have plenty of eggs, so please just bring a basket and come on down. And then after that, on Saturday, we also have an ecological gardening class, and you're going to learn to create beauty for humans, forage and shelter for wildlife, and support healthy plants. We partnered with Sweet Fern Gardening on that. And then lastly, under the consent agenda tonight, we are asking for the select board to approve a townwide yard sale on June 27th and 28th. And I just wanted to give a little bit of background. Jamie Dimitri, our program manager, brought this idea to me, and we actually ran this in Woodland Park, where I was prior to being here. Really, really fun time, because what we end up doing is we'll waive the fee, and that's what we're asking for the select board's approval. We'll waive the fee, and we ask everyone to either register on OrleansRecreation.com or give us a call, and we'll be able to get your address onto a list. We'll have hard copies available at our offices. We'll have them on the website, but we'll also create an interactive map that you can scan with a QR code. So when we have everybody all registered, you'll be able to search the map and be able to plan out your day for either Saturday or Sunday and see what places are available. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of what we have going on.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Anyone else for public comment, please? Yes, please. Joanna.
Good evening. My name's Joanna Stevens, and I'm representing the Lower Cape Pride event, or Lower Cape Pride group. We held a parade last year, and this is our second year. We're hoping to replicate the enthusiasm and joy of that weekend. So this year, I'm one of the co-leaders, and so I wanted to announce that June 12th to the 14th is our weekend. Our motto is still unity and community. We were so pleased last year with the numbers and the enthusiasm. So I've been working through the town with the town of Orleans. Jamie Dimitri's been very helpful to secure all of the licenses and things that I need, permits that I need. So tonight, later, I think you're going to be talking about the road closure. So I wanted to let you know that we'll be coming back to the board with a more full description of our event, but we're still kind of working through some of the details. But I wanted to introduce Caroline Lawrence, who's our parade lead, and she'd like to just talk a little bit about the parade, which has relevance more to the road closures. So
Welcome,
there
Caroline.
she is.
Public comment, 3 minutes or less.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Caroline Lawrence, and I'm the parade team lead with the Lower Cape Pride group. We're a regional grassroots group focused on increasing LGBTQ acceptance, and that's through educating and empowering towards a more inclusive and welcoming local community. Thanks to the determination of a very special couple, Rick and Joan Francolini, we hosted our first Pride celebration last June. We've received feedback from many that the events were meaningful and impactful. As part of the weekend, we hosted a people-powered parade. This event was unique and community-oriented, and we intend to replicate most of last year's event. And this year, the parade will be held on Saturday, June 13th at 10 a.m. Before the parade, we'll host some family-friendly activities on the village green, like face painting and bracelet making beginning at 9 a.m. This will be similar to last year. All are welcome, and will go on rain or shine. In lieu of lightning or stormy weather, we'll cancel. But otherwise, the parade route will run from the Village Green down Main Street, crossing 6A, and ending at the Snow's Tap Room. From there, the crowd can disperse safely utilizing crosswalks and sidewalks. But thank you very much for your support, and thank you to the community for making last year's event so special, and we hope to make it even better this year. So
Thanks, Caroline. Good to see you. Joanna, anything else?
see you.
Thanks, Caroline. Just to let you know also that we've secured the police detail for the day, and I believe we're increasing the numbers because of the number of walkers we had last year. So it'll be a rolling closure, as I understand it. So I think that's it for now.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Yes, please.
Hi, Carl Oakes, Heritage Drive. I'm here to comment about the proposed seasonal parking sticker program at Kents Point. Let me pick up on one of the points in the proposal. The program is consistent with other seasonal access programs, such as beaches and landings. I'm here to stress the point that, yes, that's true, but you don't hold this land in the same legal capacity, and it's subject to certain intervening or offsetting rights that don't apply to beaches and landings. I wrote to the new town council about this yesterday. I'm going to read the salient portion of that letter into the record, and that'll be my comments. The town's gradual movement towards imposing a paid sticker requirement has been enabled by your predecessor, Mr. Ford, who has, one, asserted with confidence and a bare minimum of explanation that the measure need only satisfy the rational basis test. Implicitly, this assessment rests on the assertion that Kents Point is not a, quote, park, and therefore not a traditional First Amendment forum. Two, brushed off my assertion that stickers are illegal under the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts case of Smith versus City of Westfield, and particularly its discussion of how Article 97 of the state constitution continues the common law doctrine of dedication and the common law doctrine of prior public use. In my initial communication to him about this, I mentioned West Head Notes 5 and 6, which state as follows: the general public that has obtained an interest in the dedicated land in the nature of an easement is not simply the residents of the particular city or town that owns the parkland. It's all the residents of Massachusetts. I'm adding that. Because the general public has an interest in parkland owned by a city or town, ultimate authority over a public park rests with the legislature, not with the municipality. In my judgment, forcing people to choose between paying to park in the lot or walking the long distance from the nearest available parking spot is an undeniable interference with their easement to use the land. I have explained at length why I not only believe Mr. Ford to be incorrect, but assess his work product on the case to be non-responsive to the actual issues and hence professionally insufficient here. And then there's a link to my website, orleanswatchdog.org, the Kents Point tab, and the lawlessness subtab under that. My ask of you, this is the lawyer, not you, town council, is that you give some consideration to whether the legal issues in this matter have been sufficiently explained to the select board and advise them to postpone any vote on the matter if you agree with me that they have not. I hope that you will then issue a learned and thorough legal memo which the board will then publish so that the citizens of Orleans can have an appropriate understanding of the issues before any vote is taken. Just for clarity's sake, I don't have an investment in preventing stickers for their own sake. I do, however, have a very strong investment in the idea that the business of the town has to be conducted intelligently, legally, and above board. That is the context for this communication. Best regards. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
And that was 3 minutes. Thank you. All right. Any other public comment? Thank you very much. Anyone, Peggy on Zoom, wishes to speak?
No hands raised.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll close public comment. We've already done item 5, committee interviews, appointments are complete. So let's move on to item 6, discussion, possible vote on the request from our Orleans Conservation Commission. I see Druzy Henson Chair is here to support implementation of seasonal parking. As Druzy's coming up, I reached out to Nate just to kind of tee up things in terms of, as the board knows, this has been I'd call a incremental advance of parking. I call it restrictions seasonal. So Nate did help me to remind me of the locations so far that we've implemented similar restrictions: Priscilla Landing, Doan Road, Snow Shore Landing, Mill Pond, Tonsett Road, Wildflower Lane, River Road, Cove Road, and Port Animicut Landing. Nate's comment is to remind folks on the website under parking and parking tickets. You can see more information, but also definitely from Nate's words, he would definitely say this program has been a success. We've seen more opportunity for residents to park at our landings since we adopted these. And the key is proper signage and being concise and consistent with regulations. So just wanted to share that background. Jersey.
So yes, I'm Drissy Henson, current chair of the Orleans Conservation Commission. And we're here today. The commission is proposing a seasonal parking sticker program at Kents Point Conservation Area from June 15th through September 15th to manage peak summer visitation, protect sensitive habitats, and enhance public safety. And the commission is seeking the select board's support and enforcement authority under the Town Charter, Chapter 89, 89-2, heading of Town Parking Lots, which is your purview. And I think for the interest of the public, if you'll let me go through a timeline of how we came here today,
Yes.
it would be helpful. As most people know, Kents Point was acquired in 1988 by the town of Orleans for the purposes of passive recreation and conservation. It's the busiest of our 16 publicly accessible conservation properties in Orleans. In January of 2024, the popularity of the property prompted a petition that was given to the Select Board expressing deep concerns over Kents Point's environmental condition, traffic, and other issues. The petition was forwarded by the Select Board to the Conservation Commission, who has the care and custody over the Kents Point property as the managers of the property. The petition offered some potential solutions, including sticker parking to protect against overuse causing environmental degradation for the Select Board and ultimately the Conservation Commission to consider. In April of 2024, we began a thorough review of Kents Point, and that brings us to this here today. In response to concerns over environmental degradation on the property, the commission worked via public hearings to develop a scope of services for an environmental assessment of the property. And we also engaged the Cape Cod Commission to do a traffic study of the property in July of 2024. They did the study during a peak summer week of July 29th. And that study resulted in an average daily volume of cars of about 165 cars on a weekday. And on a weekend, it's more like 180. I think the peak day was 250 cars. There's a 20-car parking lot on the property, so it is restricted via that. It's just the amount of turnover of the cars that resulted in that many cars. After that, the town went out to bid and received 2 proposals for the environmental assessment work and eventually awarded the work to LEC in July of 2024. In September of 2024, the Conservation Commission received a second petition requesting a formal denial of the first petition. Commission reviewed the requests and the second petition and made findings on those requests, and the findings were sent to the petitioner in a letter dated March 26, 2025. In December of 2024, as part of the environmental assessment work, the commission held a public workshop to review LEC's initial findings. We had a lot of people attend that workshop and get to hear what LEC had to say. And then the official report from LEC came in February of 2025. It was posted online. All of this documentation has been posted online throughout this process for the public. And the LEC report came up with a number of recommendations for the commission to mitigate for environmental impacts and to prevent environmental degradation and core habitat degradation. So in February 2025, the commission discussed action items and goal to complete a bunch of those action items by the summer of 2025. Those types of items were things like placing fencing on what we call rogue trails, people going off our established trails into different portions of the property and establishing secondary trails, which were harming habitats. So we did some fencing work. We put some leaf piles and log piles and those types of things to prevent people from going into those areas. They also provide habitat, so that's a double win. We put up some signage directing people to the correct pathways and how to access the water down at the property, because it's very popular. Subsequent to that, we also added a bunch of educational signing at the kiosk to instruct people about why it's so important to stay off banks that causing erosion and that type of thing. Subsequently, in the time since that summer, we got a bunch done by that summer with volunteers, and thank you, DPW, always. Got a bunch done since then. We've also replaced the cement steps, the north end of the property, which were eroding that bank pretty badly. We're putting in some beach grass plugs pretty soon along those. We replaced another set of steps. There's a final set of steps we're working on replacing very shortly. So we've done a bunch of work on the property to try to prevent some of the degradation that was happening. So going back, in June of 2025, the commission discussed and decided to advance a concept of implementing a sticker parking requirement at the Kents Point Conservation Area. Stickers are available to residents. For example, many residents already have beach stickers. Those same stickers would work at Kent's. And they would also be available for non-residents for purchase as a seasonal or weekly item, which people often do, again, for beaches and that type of thing. We used town council to get guidance on how we could advance this concept to publicly consider this requirement. In August of 2025, the commission held a public hearing to consider the changes. We had to change the land management plan to implement this parking, sticker parking. So we held a public hearing to discuss those land management plan changes. We had a lot of people participate in that hearing, and we also, through September, continued to receive public input via online correspondence. In September, we reviewed all of that material, and then in October, the commission moved to adopt the proposed changes to the land management plan to implement sticker parking seasonally from June 15th to September 15th. And we also voted to support the memo that was included in your packet today. So just other information points. Limiting parking to sticker holders will help address the documented erosion, vegetation loss, and trail damage on the property. Active enforcement will ensure safe vehicle access, prevent unsafe overflow parking, and protect pedestrians. And again, under the charter, Chapter 89, the Select Board has the authority to manage town parking lots, including Kents Point, and the program is consistent with other seasonal access programs, such as the beaches and town landings, and enforcement by the Orleans Police Department. The Conservation Department has consulted the Orleans Police Chief and Police Department, and they are prepared to cover this activity if it is supported with their existing staff. So with all of that, we are asking the Select Board to support the seasonal parking sticker program at Kents Point and collaborate on enforcement, including issuing citations or fines by the Orleans Police Department. Also, just an important note, the Commission is using this as a pilot program and will be monitoring this program during its first year to see what effects, if any, there are in terms of reducing environmental degradation and overflow parking and the like that goes along with Kents Point. So happy to answer any questions. Sorry, that was a little long.
No, and I have to thank you for the thoroughness of the commission's work. I know John Janelle has reason to be away, but thanks to John for supporting this as well, and I can vouch for the improvements already being made. One thing, too, we did hear a public comment, and Kim forwarded to me that request from Mr. Oakes that was sent to Town Council at 1:50 yesterday, requesting council opine on this. I just checked email. Kim, we have not heard anything back. So again, with the concerns expressed as well as the pilot nature of this, I know personally, I have no concern supporting this, even based upon some legal questions that have been made, but that's legal to legal. That's how I would see this. But I don't see any reason why we have no limitation on considering this.
You could make a motion that is pending council review. Right.
Sounds good.
Would you like a
Questions?
motion?
Of course.
Let's get discussion.
Yes, of course, I have a question.
Go ahead.
And Druzy, thank you for the recap, and I was your liaison for a lot of that. So one of my questions, I think, is not just for me, but for the public. In the findings of that report, and as those of us who walk Kents Point all the time, we see the largest actors are erosion from weather and wind erosion, which the report had stages of, we should close off this piece, or we should plant this piece. And I understand usage, or overusage. So I have a two-part question. Can you elaborate for those of us who aren't familiar with the other ways that the commission is positioned to deal with erosion beyond the next set of steps, if there are any committed plans for Kents Point? And secondly, the question I have is, after a season, you know ahead of time what measurements you're going to have to know if controlling the number of cars there during the summer has been a positive thing. I don't know how you would measure that.
Yeah, so for the first one, a lot of the environmental erosion that's happening is on the coastal banks surrounding the property. We've done quite a bit of work putting up some fencing and signage, letting people know that these banks are fragile and please stay off them, because any activity on the banks just exacerbates that natural erosion. But Mother Nature is going to erode those banks. So in terms of traffic and volume of people at Kent's, that's more an issue of all the pathway erosion and the secondary pathways that have been created by people sort of going off our standard pathways.
I'm sorry, I was specific, I wasn't clear. When you walk the site after a big rainstorm, some of the site has been remediated with wood chips or other materials to keep that erosion from happening. Are there other plans or ways that the public should know about that? Not only are we limiting access to the site, but we're proactively dealing with internal erosion to the site that is potentially in our control, unlike wind or storms.
Yes, and we will continue with that wood chip work. We will continue blocking off the secondary pathways with our wood piles and our leaf piles. We continue to have volunteer days out there to keep those pathways safe. We are working on some better wayfinding techniques to keep people on the pathways so that they understand where to go, how to get down via the steps as opposed to running down a bank to get down to the beach. There's ongoing maintenance on that property all the time. Pathway work is just part of that whole, clearing dangerous trees. And I've just gotten a note from one of my colleagues that we'll also be putting in the grass plugs and that type of work. There are other projects that could come under consideration, some of the habitat maintenance. We applied for a grant to do a burn to try to reestablish some of the meadow habitat out there. Unfortunately, we did not get that grant, but it's something that the commission could still consider. So there's lots of things we could consider moving forward. Reestablishing some of the protected habitat pockets that were mentioned in that LEC report is an important consideration for us. There's a lot of invasive management that can be done, so it's just a question of time and money. So those are the things we continue to do, and educate. is something that we continue to
It's
do.
not just a one-way, we're closing off the public, it's an active, we're working on site restoration.
Absolutely.
Managing our lands.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I would just, a couple of things that it's good to sort of remember is that the original purchase in 1988 of the Kents Point property was funded 100% by Orleans taxpayers. There was no grants issued by the state or the federal government. This was all on the Orleans tax payer. And I think the other point is that passive recreation, which has a somewhat incomplete definition, is an allowed use in conservation lands, but it's not weighted equally. The purpose of the purchase was conservation, not recreation, and it's not an equal weighting as to which is more important.
Yeah, I mean, it's 27 acres of some great land, it's great habitat, and, you know, we certainly want people to enjoy it, and enjoy it the way they do. It's a beautiful place. It's got some, you know, some of the work we do is make sure we trim the views, so at the viewpoints, you can sit on a bench and have a lovely view up the river out to the bay. But we also have to be very cognizant that it's an important piece of land in town for wildlife habitat and wildlife corridor.
Any other questions, or maybe a motion?
I got a comment. I can
Please.
make a motion. Just thank you. I've been part of the workshops, and I appreciate the work that you guys have all put into this. And I guess I look at it as you're not limiting the access. We're technically not limiting it, right? People can buy stickers.
Yeah.
So and I'm really glad, though, you are going to be monitoring this, and we're going to kind of see it after. So that was important to me, and see if there's any effects. One thing that wasn't mentioned was, I know you guys during the workshops and public forums, there was a lot of conversation about dogs and leashes. Is that on your radar for another step that you're looking at, or is that not?
It's definitely on the radar, but it is not something we considered for this.
Not part of this. This is, say,
No, it is
phase
not.
one, if you
Yeah.
would, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's concerns that people have brought up,
Yeah.
and it's something that we'll need to address. We have a work group for Kents Point, and I know that that's on their list of things to take a look at.
Yeah, that was one of the things at the workshops, was a major discussion point. So I wanted to make sure that we at least addressed it.
Yep, as of right now, we follow the town's leash law on all town conservation properties.
I would make a motion if you like,
Please.
Mr. Chair. I would move to support the Conservation Commission's recommendation to implement a seasonal resident-only sticker program at Kents Point contingent on
Council review?
council review.
Second.
And would you just add to make sure you reference the section of the charter and the authority we have to do this? Charter
Right here.
89, section 89-2.
I'm sorry, I was looking at
Yeah.
reference Select Board's authority under Charter 89-2.
Great. Moved and
Second.
seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I guess the one point I would just, it sounds like it's just for residents in the
It's for
residence.
stickers.
It's for stickers. So
Stickers.
then anybody can buy a sticker. So if you're from Eastham or you're from, the resident, when we say resident sticker, again, it's still kind of confusing because it's property owner sticker.
You can buy
Any
you can buy a non-resident sticker that will give you
Anybody who
access.
has a property in Orleans can buy a resident sticker,
Correct.
whether they're a resident or not. I guess, but also was the concern that people outside of the community wouldn't be allowed to go there. And we are allowing them to go there. So that's where I guess when the legal review, there's going to be, we are allowing everybody to go there.
Yes,
We are just requiring them to purchase a sticker.
that's correct.
Can I just add something to that? You don't have to be a property owner to buy a resident sticker.
Right.
So
You need to be a resident or a property owner.
Right.
You can be a renter.
right.
And what we're voting on is a seasonal parking
Seasonal.
sticker program in effect from June 15th to September 15th. That's consistent with all the other similar town landings and locations that we have. Ready to vote?
Yes.
All good? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
400. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Drew.
And,
Appreciate it.
I'm sure John Janelle thanks you as well. He did so much work on this, so
Well, thank you, John.
thanks to him as well.
Absolutely. So it's not 5:45, but I am going to skip to maybe consent agenda. How are folks feeling on that one? Which includes Lower Cape Pride request, the special one-day beer for Sunset Leisure, and that, what I would call most exciting endeavor from Orleans Rec to have a town-wide yard sale
yeah.
on Saturday and Sunday, June 27, 28.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
So is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the items on the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Thank you to Tom
Yeah,
and
again,
Jamie.
Tom and Jamie.
Great idea.
Really is. So if folks may not have heard, as we heard a public comment, item C under this consent agenda is something you can sign up for to participate in a town-wide yard sale. All properties are welcome, and your permit fee that is in place today of $10 will be waived, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll control my excitement and just ask for a vote. All in favor?
Oddly excited about this yard sale.
Well, you should see
Your garage?
garage in the basement
Sounds like a lot of good stuff is gonna be over there.
coming out. All right. I think we still have a little more time. Is the Special Stabilization Fund a short item? Could we take item 10?
Yes, very quick.
Seeing a nod.
Very easy.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So as you remember last year, there was DLS, the Division of Local Services, alerted the town of Orleans that there were two of your special stabilization funds, which are the Pavement Management Stabilization Fund and the Water Quality Drainage Improvement Stabilization Fund, are both funded by overrides. And so in the past, it was town meeting that was appropriating the funds into those stabilization accounts, as well as voting to expend from those. And it's actually just town meeting's role to expend, and it's the select board that appropriates the funds. So these two votes that you see in front of you are simply to appropriate funds into those accounts for FY '27.
Would you like a motion?
I would love a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would move to appropriate $434,477 into the Pavement Management Special Stabilization Fund for fiscal year '27.
Second. Do you want to do them separately, Kevin, or together?
I was pausing to think if you'd like to add the water quality
Okay,
one.
and as well as that, I would also move that we appropriate $217,228 into the Water Quality Drainage Improvement Stabilization Fund for fiscal year '27.
Also second.
Okay, so both of those are appropriated. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
400. We have appropriated. And as Mark said, totally up to town meeting to spend. All right. I think we're close enough that we might be able to maybe start to call folks to order. I know this is joint meeting with Finance Committee. Madam Chair, if you'd like to come up and maybe get your folks organized and called to order. And the order we've got on this joint meeting with our school folks is Cape Cod Regional Tech is up first. Bob Sanborn will be here. Orleans Elementary School is next. And then last but not least, I did see Glenn Brand was here for the Nauset Regional School District. So I'll just say welcome, everyone. Trying to burn a few minutes as people are getting assembled so we don't get to the meat of it until 5:45, but
Ed, you can pull up another.
yeah, pull up another chair.
Yeah, Ed and Ally.
All right.
Sorry?
All right.
Sure, they're fully.
So, Madam Chair, once again, we're gathered together. Would you like to call your,
Sure, call to order our joint meeting of the Finance Committee and the Select Board for Nauset Regional Education, and identifying ourselves, Abby Lane Baird, Chair.
Nick Sue, Vice Chair.
David Abel.
Alice Thomason.
John Cooper. Tony Pearl.
Dick Burdick. Ed Mahoney.
Welcome, everybody. Bob Sanborn, good to see you. Do you need some help plugging in?
Glad to be here.
or-
Just need a little AV help.
Peggy, do you have a moment you could come in and help with a little setup?
Sure thing.
Great.
Yeah, do we want to open the door for her and then kill the light? Backlight.
Just while I'm waiting, does everybody have my presentation, a copy?
do,
And the
yeah.
line item budget as well?
Yep. Bob, thank you. It was put in the packet, so it's been published since Friday.
Just the PowerPoint.
I don't think I received one.
Yeah, it was definitely sent by my assistant, yeah. Maybe Cape Tech.
See if we can find it. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
This is Tim.
What's the email?
No, Kevin sends.
What's the email of the person who sent it to me?
J Mullen. JMLLE.
It seems like, yeah,
Would have been Cape Tech. There it is.
that's it from 2023.
No, it doesn't help.
I don't believe
Do you work with Kim?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Oh, did you send it to Kim?
They probably did. Probably did.
Gotcha. Because I don't think I received it.
Kim?
My supplies ready.
Kim? Do you have the PowerPoint that was sent over? Or does somebody have the PowerPoint?
It's in the packet,
I
Okay.
have it.
so someone
Okay.
has it. Molly has
Email it to you.
Did you want to email it to me?
Yeah, if you could. email it.
Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries.
Start yet anyways.
Glad we started a little earlier.
We're still ahead of time.
It's all good.
Just a sticker thing. Didn't mention dogs. Fast.
Now it's all up to Outlook.
Takes a long time to get from there.
I know, right?
You know.
I just sent it, Peggy.
Thank you.
Peggy, do you want me to call it device advice?
So
Well,
waiting.
we love
now
that
for
program.
Yeah,
Device Advice is
Yeah.
working out really well.
awesome. Well,
There we
it's,
go.
it's all the teachers and Kim getting all that together, so we're happy to do it. Here it is.
Here we go. Just make sure you're up and running
Thinking
here.
card.
Thank you. We're still on time, Mr. Chair, correct?
We're perfect.
Okay.
We'll be starting right at 5:45 as noted on the agenda.
Beautiful, thank you so much. Thank you very much. We didn't need to call device advice, so that's great. Do you want me to just launch?
Launch into it.
Okay.
Welcome, Bob Sanborn from
Thank-
Cape Tech.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, Finance Committee, Select Board. You're looking at the press box on our field from the building project. I'm happy to say that the vocational Super Bowl winning football team was Cape Cod Tech this year as we defeated South Shore. I've never been able to say that in 32 years at Cape Cod Tech, so very excited about that. That's last year's graduation where we have that on the field. So the work I'm presenting here is the work of many, many people, most importantly my business manager, Aaron Orcutt. and the Finance Subcommittee and all of our department heads and staff members that contribute to the budget I'm presenting this evening. This work started in April and will finish in March, on tomorrow night, actually, when the school committee votes it. That's okay. They've been working on, this is about the fourth version of the budget for this year, the final, I should say. So an enrollment picture is pretty solid for Cape Cod Tech right now. We're up 22 students as a district. Percentage-wise, Orleans, one of the biggest increases, second to Yarmouth in overall enrollment, in town enrollment, I should say. So all pretty good there. A look at enrollment for the whole district, percentage-wise, Barnstable and Yarmouth still contribute the bulk of the students to our district, but Orleans is contributing now 2.3%, which is an increase from last year due to the 3-student increase of students in enrollment in the freshman class.
We're working really hard over here in Orleans to promote that
I
program.
really, we feel it. We definitely feel it in a very positive way. So just to look at it since 2019, the look at our enrollment has been a very positive trajectory, I should say. And we are, I'll get into in my comments, but we are restricting our enrollment moving forward. So this is a table from 21, so you can see your towns individual. I don't think there's been a lot of change. Obviously, this is actually a high water mark for Orleans since in the last, probably because of all that work right there. So accounting for the 2.3% of our overall enrollment. So the budget I'm presenting this evening is a 4.5% increase. The enrollment is contributing to that, but I'll get into the other factors that are making that happen. I hope you believe that we've been a good steward of the taxpayers' money over the several years. I included a history. It's very hard to get back to those days of 19 through 23 right now. We are reverting back into the 4s this year, and hopefully we can make even further progress. But I am presenting a 4.5% increase this year. So the money overwhelmingly comes from the 12 towns. It's over about 80% of the revenue for this budget is provided by the 12 towns, followed by state aid, which is Chapter 70 and Chapter 71, which is transportation reimbursement. We received a decent influx of probably about $900,000 over 2 years from the Student Opportunity Act, but those days are gone. As you know, Chapter 70 doesn't usually make it over the old bridge, and I don't know if it'll make it over the new bridge. But so the bulk is assessments, state aid, and then a very small amount. We've had to cut back on our devotion of excess and deficiency to take a break and rebuild that account. So local revenue is really facility rental, which we're doing a good amount of, and also interest income with cash on hand. So that's accounting for the $120,000. This is just, you'll see that pretty aggressive use of E&D in the local revenue column, which we've had to restrict. Current balance of E&D certified for 25 is $417,000. I do see a sizable increase in that when the 26 audit is done. So we are replenishing our E&D account as we go here, but we are bringing it down. But you see, overwhelmingly, the operating budget is supported by assessments by the 12 towns, Orleans being one of them. This slide really just tells the same story. State aid, pretty static, except for a couple of years, as I have already referred to. So this is a percentage of the budget, okay? So not increase, but overall percentage of the budget. Salaries actually decreased as a percentage of the budget this year. That's really because of movement, resignations, retirements of that nature. So the plus and minus in all of that within the salary lines school-wide, it has decreased by 1.2% of the overall budget. Not true for benefits. It could have been a lot worse. Most in particular is health insurance, which I'm sure you already know most about. We did get an 8% increase from Cape Cod Municipal Health Group instead of 15, which was welcomed, but that is increasing as a percentage of our budget. So the drivers, I referred to the drivers. I have another slide about that, but you can kind of see it through here. Materials and services are just ballooning. If you think of our 15 programs, just think of lumber, copper, steel. It's all going up. We had an equipment subcommittee meeting last night where the prices changed in a month. They put forth on the agenda a number, and they had to say to the committee it had gone up by several $100s just in the time they had submitted their documents for the equipment. So materials and services are contracted services for the systems in our building primarily. That has gone up astronomically. So you see it was 8.8% of the budget. It's now 9.3% of the budget. Transportation is down by a small 0.3%. That is because we signed a fixed contract for 5 years. So we all took the hit, 19% hit last year in transportation. So that will be relatively stable over the next 4 years, including this year. Utilities and heating, some good news there. It is up by a 0.1, but we are installing a solar canopy array over our bus depot, which is slated to be online in July, which will hopefully be providing about 40% of our overall electricity. And we also are investigating a battery, and we're also doing something with our chargers for our EV vehicles that will benefit the community and us a little bit financially. So that picture is, I think, is going to be even better next year. Not a big contributor to the overall increase this year. Property and liability insurance, also a big driver of this budget. We got introduced to a new concept this year called deductible buy-down insurance, that the wind deductible was so high we had to get insurance on the insurance to cover the deductible. It's because in a wind event we would have been responsible for over $4 million. So we had to buy deductible buy-down insurance. It's coming to a store near you. And then the last is the last line items in our budget account for that building improvement and equipment line item. Quite frankly, those line items we've had to restrict over the last several years to get through the fiscal years. However, we have bolstered it a bit to account for 2.7% of the budget overall, up from 471 to 525. And those are the monies devoted for anything that building related. And then we have new and replacement equipment and technology. Those are the 4 line items that make up that capital area. So this is an overall look at the budget. Teacher salaries being the highest percentage of the overall operation. The second most important people in the building. First are our students. And then you see that I think one thing worth noting, which you probably know as a dealing with regional schools, $1.7 million in this budget is for people who don't work in our building anymore, and that's our retirees, who we have a commitment to, but in the form of insurance, retirees insurance benefits, OPEB, our contribution to OPEB, and then we also have a pretty sizable contribution to the Barnstable County retirement system, which I'm sure you're very familiar with. But it's just something to realize. Those go up, health benefits, primarily Medicare. I don't have to tell anybody the increases in Medicare recently, so those are becoming a more sizable part of the overall budget every year. And this is just the numbers next to those percentages that we just looked at on the previous chart. This details the drivers. Salaries really weren't a driver in this. You see the 2.4%. Now we're talking budget increase rather than percentage of the budget. Benefits up 8.5. Materials and services 10.3. Transportation I described. Utilities and heating 5.86, and insurance. So you see what I just detailed on that previous slide shows in the drivers of this particular 4.5% increase. This is just a look at the fact that salaries and benefits are 78.7% of our overall budget, followed by materials and services, and then capital. So the capital debt is the debt on our building, the new building. We're now in year 6, believe it or not. This is the capital debt for this year, for FY27. This is dispensed on the enrollment basis, and we have about 11 years or 12 years left on this after this year. We do have the opportunity to revisit this after 9 years if there's an advantageous way to refinance or lower the year's amount.
3.3
Yeah,
is a nice-
3.3 is pretty nice, but just saying that. So the capital debt assessment for Orleans and for all 12 towns is on this slide. Orleans being 122,000. That's 2.3% of the overall capital number for this year. And I should say thank you to all the taxpayers again for supporting our new school. If you haven't had a chance to come see it, it is a community resource as well as a public high school. So we'd love to have you come over, or we've had several events there. Most recently, the Mass Hire Workforce Investment Board had their annual retreat there. We've had the Blue Economy there. So a lot of things happening as a community resource in that new facility, which I think you should all be proud of. The operating assessment for the 4.5% budget I presented is $349,297 to the town of Orleans, and then the combined is $471. Those two numbers put together $842 for the total assessments for the town of Orleans this year. So I'm going to stop there because that's really the budget, and then I just have a couple more. I think I have one more slide after this. So are there any questions on the budget first?
Great job, Bob. Turn to Finance Committee first. Any questions of Finance? And then I'll come back to the Select Board.
Ed?
First off, congratulations on a growing enrollment.
Thank you.
And also putting together, I think, a very responsible budget in difficult times. Good job.
Thank you.
My question to you is, now that your enrollment is growing, how many of your graduates stay here on the Cape and enjoy the Cape and help share these expenses going forward?
So we are mandated to do a 6-month, and it's only a 6-month, so 6 months after graduation, we get a snapshot of where they are. The last time we asked that question, because we added that's not a mandated question, but we did ask that question, and it was 84%. Now, I got to think that's going down, just for affordability reasons, but at the time, it was 84%. So I think our students are more prone to stay on Cape Cod than a regular comprehensive high school, but it is becoming challenging. Now, if they can get through the early lean years of being a plumber and electrician and get to the point where they're making the big bucks, you can live on Cape Cod. And I think a livable wage is achievable, but it is very difficult for the obvious reason of housing.
So you're finding that the employment opportunities are here.
Yes.
But it's the affordability that's really causing relocations.
Yeah, yeah. And I just want to say one note on enrollment, because you may have read in the news that we're now a lottery-based admissions process. I say very regretfully. We fought a good fight and lost it, and quite frankly, to the administration. So right now, it is a weighted lottery. We do look at attendance. It's very, very generous. You can be out 27 times. State mandate, by the way, if I hadn't already said that. 27 absences or less, you get a weighting. If you haven't done something horrific disciplinary-wise, you get another weighting. If you fill out an application, you get another weighting. And if you submit to an interview that you do not have to do anything other than to show up to it, none of these are our rules, that you get 4 weights. And that lottery occurred last Tuesday, I believe. It was live streamed on Facebook. It was scintillating television, or live streaming, I should say. And we accepted 190 students, and out of 466 applications. Wow. So that's what, when I referenced restricting, that's what I meant when I said restricting enrollment. There is still some room. The building was built for 650 students, but MSBA builds for 85% utilization, so there is a little more capacity within the existing building. We did apply for a grant to offer 2 new programs in a building that would have been off to the side of our existing building to alleviate that wait list. We were unsuccessful with that grant just recently. Actually, it hasn't been publicized yet, but I can tell you now we didn't get it. So that restriction is going to kind of be in place. We'll look for ways to tweak that for a student here, a student there, but the 190 to 200 range is going to be where we are for a while. So that's the lottery picture. That leads to a significant amount of students on the outside looking in. So I just wanted to point that out. Any other questions?
Any others from FinCom?
Does Upper Cape Tech have the similar kind of enrollment picture?
You know, they have really gone in a much higher trajectory, and they didn't have an MSBA project, so they started closing their shops in their building and building out buildings. If you go to the Upper Cape campus under the leadership of Roger Forget, we're both colleagues, it looks like a housing community around the school. So, and then inside the school, the existing school, they renovate the space for more classrooms. So he's heading toward 900 to 1,000 students up there in Bourne. So that's where he is. He is also in the pipeline for an MSBA project, however, just recently.
Also, lottery admissions?
So in doing what he did, he doesn't have a wait list. So you're not obligated to hold the lottery if you're letting everybody in. So, so for now, he's not having a lottery. I think he may be the only vocational technical school in the state not having a lottery of some sort. Okay.
Elaine, any other FinCom?
Anybody else? No, we're all set, thank you.
Thank you.
Select Board?
Just to thank
Sure,
you for
yeah.
the thoroughness and the graphic access of information.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd echo the same, Bob. And also, you mentioned the ability to host functions just last, was it 2 weeks ago, the Municipal Leaders Group of the Cape.
Yep.
In your facility on legislative update. And again, really, technology always works. The
Yep.
facility is warm and welcoming. And also, I think it was a Skills USA Celebration Day.
Yes, it was.
So we were hearing all the applause
Yes.
for a number of students that won awards. So
We have 60 students going to states for Skills USA. For those of you who don't know, those are the what our kids compete in their individual technical programs, with the exception of horticulture, who does FFA. So we have 60 students who went to the districts and got either a gold, silver, or bronze medal, and they'll be going on to districts up in Marlborough in April.
great skills.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Yes, Ed, please.
Did you have a comment you wanted to make about OPEB?
Yes, I have a next slide, actually. Yep. If everybody's good on the budget.
We're good? All right, Bob.
Okay. So thank you for the lead-in. So in 2015, we joined the Plymouth County OPEB Trust, which has been, and Aaron Orcutt spearheaded, my business administrator spearheaded that effort. So our accrued liability for health, for retiree health benefits, and all benefits for that matter, other post-employment benefits as it's known as, is almost $21 million. And in that OPEB trust, we currently have, that's now about 3.9 million, by the way, although current performance may have chopped away at that in the last couple of days. But we are ahead of schedule of what our finance subcommittee came up with a plan. They came up with a 28-year plan to fully fund this liability. And it meant going up to, we ramped it up in subsequent budget seasons, and we got to $300,000. So that we had a $300,000 contribution every year. We had to cut that back to get through some tough fiscal times here. We have got it back to $225 in this budget, as you see for the proposed funding. And our net liability with the balance we have in OPEB, in our OPEB reserve, is $17 million. That comes out to we funded about 17% of that unfunded liability so far. So the 28-year plan to get back to 300, and one of the reasons we were able to cut it back because we're ahead of schedule because of returns over the last several years. So I hope to say that number's 300 again next year. And when Barnstable County Retirement Assessment, which I believe is around a $600,000 line item in this budget, when that sunsets, when they fully fund that, I think it's projected to be around 2038, then we would just take that number and devote it to OPEB. So it'll be a significant influx at that year, and then that accelerates our ability to hopefully, that's barring any crazy inflation for health insurance, but, which almost was 15% this year. Yeah, so in 28 years from when we started in 2015, that we hope to fully fund the liability for OPEB.
Great.
Don't mean to hog the stage here.
Yep.
The $225,000 you put in for the coming year and the $300 in prior years, do those contributions exceed the withdrawals to existing retirees and beneficiaries?
So this money goes in there and it can be withdrawn. We do not withdraw.
Well, I guess, let me ask it differently. Is the OPEB reserve balance increasing as a percent of your accrued liability?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that kind of it makes intuitively you're saying we're contributing faster than our retirees are withdrawing. We're making progress toward
We
our
are
goal.
making progress, most definitely. It got cut off, but that net position funding to liability was 17%. A couple of years ago, that was around 12.
Wow.
So we have made progress.
Good.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, good questions, Ed. I just, again, Bob, you and our other school folks, you're managing in incredibly challenging times.
As
And
are you.
We are, but you're making it look like it hums along, and I know it doesn't, but you have incredible insight into every single line item, and it goes all the way back to your business manager experience.
It does, and calling Kevin Galligan to say what's going to happen with electricity and natural gas in the next day.
And that I don't know. I don't do that anymore. That's scary. But any other questions for Bob? Kim,
Can I
please.
just say, in case there's anybody watching who does not know, I just want to thank you for partnering with us the last 2 years. Our unofficially titled Town Trades Program, is in its grassroots, and we just participated in one of the job fairs at the Tech too.
Yep.
And this past year, we had 4 interns. I know we have members of the FinCom who were active members of our device advice program with the
Yep.
3, and then we had another student working in the DPW and then in health. So I really want to continue to expand that to the extent that we can. We absolutely have a shortage of people going into municipal careers, and we have a lot of them, and they're all different kinds. And if you think about municipalities as an industry on the Cape, we are one of the largest employers, and so we absolutely want more kids. I tell him every time I see them, I just send them all to us, but it's true. We got to get them in the door to know what we can offer so that they can stay here. So whatever we can do. I want to do another grant.
Thank
too.
you.
It's just
Thank you for saying
We
that.
partnered at a grant and then award, and we won it. And so on technology this year, but I want to do another one at the end of the year to expand a little bit.
Thank you for all your efforts. And it did come up at the annual retreat for the Higher Workforce Investment Board of replicating that from town to town.
Yeah.
Because the same need exists in all 12 towns.
Right.
So, thank you.
I let Hadley Luddy and Senators here both know last time I saw them that we were already working on this, and we've been working on it for 2 years. So
Yep.
we're ready to go.
Very good.
Thanks again, Bob.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. So just following the order of our agenda, I know the packet's a little out of order, but Orleans Elementary is next up, and I see Chair Sassy Richardson, and who from the school is presenting on the budget?
Jesus, I'm sorry. It's my kid. Sorry. I know.
All right, Dr. Glenn Brand, welcome.
Good evening. Thank
Good
you
to
very
see you
much.
again.
As well.
You could probably close that.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. For those that I've not had the chance to meet, Glenn Brand, Superintendent of Schools, privilege and pleasure to be here before everyone this evening. I do have a slide deck. Hopefully you have that with you, and if it's all right, I'll start with just some general comments and updates on the district as a whole, and then move into the elementary school, followed by the region, if that's all right.
You want to plug in, and would Peggy be of assistance?
You don't have the presentation?
We have it.
We have it on-
to set it up.
But we'd like the public to see it, so.
Okay.
Does that work?
Molly should have it.
I'll send it to
Reggie.
Yeah, Molly, would you mind sending it to me again? Thank you.
We talk amongst ourselves while we wait. I know, every time I touch my phone, it makes a noise. I don't understand. Let me fix that. I don't even know what they're sending me.
Hi again, Peggy.
Sorry, I'm just gonna. Oh,
Yeah.
you have it on your.
Well, I have it
laptop?
here,
Do you have
but,
a, do you have an HDMI port on that?
No,
MacBook?
I don't.
Okay, then, I'll pull it up on this one then.
Do you want me to email it to you? Or-
I think Molly's emailing it to
Okay,
me right now.
all right.
It's like NASA.
Yeah.
Control tower, all those engineers spread out.
Just waiting for it. Has it been sent, Molly?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Just waiting.
And Glenn, the order we've got is elementary and then the region.
Okay.
Is there a separate presentation?
Oh, I know.
Okay, great.
Would you prefer me to go in that order?
I would, only because that's the
Sure.
order on the agenda.
Will you advance the slide? or do I-
You will, right here, yeah. There we go. Here we go. Close this for you, make sure you're in presenting mode. There you are.
Thank you again, Peggy.
Oh, these kids.
Okay. I think we're all set. Thanks for your patience. Well, again, good evening, everyone. I have a number of slides that you have hopefully before you, and we'll sort of go a little bit of order, out of order, but starting into the presentation. And thanks for the opportunity to share an update for the fiscal year 27 budget presentation. Just to begin, if I may, just to call to attention some other folks that I have here in the room with me that have been very instrumental to help get us to this point. Of course, our school committee members, and we have Sassy and Gail who are here. Vicky Saldana is our assistant superintendent, and Deirdre L'Italian, who's our director of human resources. And two gentlemen in particular, as some of you have gotten to know over the past number of months, who have been instrumental from a financial stewardship standpoint to help get myself and our district to this point. Paul Donlin, who is here, and Paul brought him out of retirement to help out and focus the oversight of the elementary side, and Bob Dutch, who is on virtually with us, and he has been helpful for the region as a whole. Bob, are you there?
Peggy probably needs to bring him
Well,
in.
he is here.
He's
trust me,
coming
but-
in.
He's on his way in.
All right.
Welcome, Bob. Here he is.
I'm here, hello.
I'm trying to advance this, and it's not. It's frozen. I think a little technical help here.
Peggy, I think
All
we
right.
could, you moving? Is it moving?
There we go.
Okay, good. We're good, Peggy.
A little sticky, but we can. Okay, so starting with OES, Orleans Elementary, as I've had the good fortune to come to learn very quickly, we are blessed and so fortunate in these four communities to have amazing elementary schools, and of course, it goes without saying that OES is one of them, and so tonight, the chance to walk through the budget plan for next year. This provides you with a snapshot of enrollment over the last few years across Orleans Elementary Schools, starting, of course, with K through grade 5. Our projections for fiscal year 27, you can see in the bottom right. One of the things as it relates to enrollment projection that I've come to learn here in my short time is that from my vantage point, I don't think we have a very holistic data set for being able to project out enrollment in the future. And that's not just in Orleans, that's district-wide. One of the things that I'm looking forward to with the data from the efficiency and regionalization study that will be a broader data set of which to try and draw from, understanding that there's tremendous variability in enrollment overall, and we'll talk a little bit about that more when we get to the region in a minute. This provides you with a snapshot of the average class sizes and breakdowns in a comparative sense between 2025-26, our current, of course, fiscal year, and next fiscal year, 27, the number of teachers alongside the number of students, and what that translates to in terms of the average class size. Just a few moments, if I may, to touch upon some of the budget drivers that hold true for most of our elementary districts, and just to give some context to this here for Orleans Elementary School, not necessarily in any particular order. Central office salaries, first off. I'll touch upon this a little bit more. It's in the presentation part of the region, and it is the one new position that at this point in the budget process that I'm proposing as part of the budget considerations for our communities, and that's the addition of a director of communications and engagement. And I'm very happy, and I will expand upon that a little bit more if you'll allow me in the slides for the region. But this is a new position. It is a position, as is a number of other of our positions, that sits within the central office budget. And that budget, in turn, as I'm sure many are aware, then gets distributed across all of our other various operational budgets. But it is a new position, and so certainly a driver, if you will, as part of the overall increase. Central office expenses also serve as a budget driver, and just to expand a little bit upon this, as I learned, and many here are undoubtedly aware and recall, there's a lot of focus last year around the reclassifications of a number of different expense lines that were previously in the regional budget. And through a process that played itself out, many were identified, a number were identified, and then transitioned into the central office budget. It was discovered not all that long ago, the 1st of February, in fact, through the assistance of those members of our school committee who serve on the central office budget subcommittee, that there were two, the employer's share of Medicare and Barnstable County retirement, that for reasons not known were not captured and reclassified. That is to say, as part of fiscal year 26 budget, those two expense lines remained in the regional budget. Through the discussion of that subcommittee, and then in turn with the recommendation and support to the full joint school committee, these two expenses were reclassified, into the central office budget. So it does lead to an increase in the central office budgets, but for those that have conveyed to me, it's shifting from one budget to the other, and that distribution of funding certainly plays itself in that way. Special education tuition, pre-K tuition, pre-kindergarten tuition serves as a budget driver. Pre-kindergarten as a program in and of itself is certainly something that I have come to learn an awful lot about in the last few months, and something that I think very strongly we need to take a look at as a school system, as a district, in order to determine what our future path might be around that. Pre-kindergarten, just to be clear though, is a program that we are obligated, as is every other public school district in the state, to offer. But what that looks like, how expansive that is, for example, universal pre-K, where it's located. Right now, it's located, as some may know, in one of our Brewster schools because of space availability. But nevertheless, this is a budget driver. Out-of-district transportation is also a budget driver. So just to clarify, in part of the overall budget, we have our regular education buses. Think of those as the large yellow buses that you see crisscrossing around town. We also, though, have expenses for some of our students who have special needs and who are receiving their education in a school district other than here in Nauset, and that comes with a specific expense. We calculate that, by the way, in accordance with the Department of Education's requirement for end-of-year budget reporting. Special education collaborative tuition as well is another budget driver as we think about specifically here the Orleans budget. In terms of the budget proposal that is before the committees here this evening, you can see on this slide a breakout in a number of different categories. Personnel, just a little bit over $3.6 million for next fiscal year. Utilities, those are included in the operating budget. I mentioned the different categories for transportation, and you can see the contribution of OES for regular education transportation, a little bit over $155,000, and special education, $173,000. One of the things that quickly has come to my attention is the cost for some of these out-of-district placements and the geographical factor here for us. North of the bridge, Greater Boston, there are a lot more options for such programming, and with those options and geographical proximity come sometimes less in the way of expenses for transportation, but here on the Cape in general, and certainly on this part of the Cape, that can and often does serve as a larger cost. Textbooks, materials, and supplies, as you'd expect in terms of supporting the great work that our educators provide, it sits at a little bit over $142,000. I mentioned earlier the pre-kindergarten, the tuition rather, special education wise, and you can see the top right-hand side of the slide, $368,965. Repairs and maintenance, a factor that's also included in the budget. And then the respective share for the OES budget at $594,579 for the central office budget. Again, that central office budget pays essentially for all of those folks who are working in the central office, including everything from my salary to that of our accounting and payroll department and all of the employees, respectfully, that fall under that central office line. The total operating budget that's before you for consideration, as you can see down the bottom right, is $5,260,344. In terms of an operating budget comparative view, this slide provides you a breakdown in some of the larger roll-up categories, starting on the far left side of the screen, fiscal year 26, of course, this year. As you can see, broken down by regular education costs, special education costs. What the total roll-up is, as I've come to learn, we do include here as part of the budget for your purview the fringe benefits. A capital cost that is incorporated into here, and then what the total budget is inclusive of all those categories. You can see the middle, how that budget that I just quickly went over breaks down for fiscal year 27, inclusive of fringe benefits, and then what the respective changes in terms of dollars and percentage. And as you can see, the bottom right-hand corner reflective of the 5.27% increase from fiscal year 26 to fiscal year 27. So I'll pause there if you'd like for any questions that members of the committees may have.
Great point to pause, Glenn. Are there any questions on Orleans Elementary School for Dr. Brand or anyone? I want to start with Finance Committee.
Thank you, Dr. Brandt. Quick question on the central office staffing. Do you hold any contracts for teacher contracts in the central office budget? Specialists that go out to the various schools or anything of that nature? Or are those not at all in your budget?
Paul, just not in the central office budget. There's a very small complement. My pause there was there's a very small handful of some that are shared across schools, but that's not in the central office budget, correct? Thank you.
Where,
So, no.
where would that appear? Those shared?
In the region.
Okay.
The region.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Doctor, my question is special education obviously is the the greatest change from last year. How much choice do you have in what it is that you're paying for in that category? Do you have options that you choose, or are they mandated? How does that process take place?
That's a great question. So the state, as I'm sure is the case in every state across the country, there are special education laws that are in place that govern the process. The individual education plan, we throw around a lot of acronyms in our work, of course, an IEP, individual education plan. So a child is receiving special education services. There's a process that governs that decision-making. And the governance, if you will, of that determines ultimately what the most appropriate placement for a child might be. We have a number of students on individual education plans that receive their education within our 7 schools across the 4 towns. There are times, however, though, when a particular program or respective needs of a child may not be able to be met in the schoolhouse, in the individual school. And that is determined through that process. If we have a program that might be in another school, and we do, it's a program that is for students with autism. It's called SAIL, and it happens to be housed or located in Brewster right now. But that's a program that we do have students from some of our elementary school districts that attend. But if we don't have the program in one of our schools here, then it's a programmatic placement that's determined through that process. It's called the team decision process. And then that would be a location for a student in an out-of-district placement. Once that decision-making through that process is arrived at, then there's an appropriate placement that's sought. Parents have to sign off on that. The school does as well, too, or the district. And then that's where that child would attend. So it really depends on the specific needs and the availability of space and location for where such a program might be. These programs can range from day school placements to residential placements. And the variation in the cost for those varies significantly as well, too. So I hope that answers your question.
Well, it does, although it was striking to me that the increase of transportation was almost the same as the increase for the special education. Incredible.
And the special education costs both transportation as well as the tuition, if you will. This is a budget driver in a number of our budgets right now across Nauset Public Schools across the 4 towns. I can also tell you, though, without question, a budget driver in many, if not most, if not all, public school districts. I see the headlines frequently. I'm in tune with it through my superintendent's association or school committees association. The costs associated with special education are going up, and for lots of different reasons. Time doesn't permit here perhaps tonight to get into that. But the other thing that I think is really important to note is that these private placements, which they are, they can and do have the ability to adjust their tuition rate with no control over local public school districts. And they can also do so in the middle of a school year. That was happening a lot more in the after years of COVID. And sometimes we have seen increases of 8, 9, even more percentage points. So that's seemed to have calmed down a little bit, but it is a stress. It's a factor on financial affairs of school districts everywhere. This is not just Cape. So all the more reason to really think holistically about where and when we can provide programming in our district for students with certain needs. If we have the right conditions, space, the right number of students, even if it's a small one, if we can keep children in our district, not only is it best for the child, for their families, but also for our financial affairs usually. And it's something that I can assure you I'll be looking into and more to explore as we move forward here.
My question is a relationship between the budget and outcomes, in that math and reading, as we know, performance in elementary schools decreased substantially during COVID. And Harvard and Stanford has been looking at how the nation has recovered, 2019 to 2024. Massachusetts was only 19th best in the country in math and 27th in reading, and their statistics for Barnstable County even lagged that. My question is, from your perspective, because it is essential, obviously, math and reading at grade 5 sort of determines a big part of life's script with that. What do you see as the connection between resources and those outcomes? Are we not putting enough money or resources into catching up on math and reading? Or is it more than a resource problem? And from your perspective, we have adequate resources. Something else is causing that sluggish recovery.
That's a great question, and I think there's probably an awful lot to that. But let me take a pass at that. And Vicki, I'm not going to put you on the spot. You don't. But if you wish to add, if I don't catch something, first off, regardless, and Vicki's also new. We're both new here. Almost a year, but we can still use the "we're new" card.
Keep using it.
But in all seriousness, looking at the data that pertains not just to those two subjects, but really all of our performance, right? And we know that MCAS is out there. We have other measures as well too. That to me is essential to identify where gaps are for how our students are doing, in order to make informed choices to help drive their improvement. There's no question that since the pandemic, and there's been you're absolutely right, a lot of study and focus on what the impact of that has been. By all accounts, we're trending in the right direction and making gains across the board. My early sense in taking a look at the data, and Vicki has done more of this than I, to be fair, is that math in particular is an area that, and I'm generalizing here across all of our schools, is an area where we see that there's still tremendous opportunity for and improvements needed to help move us forward. I don't have a good answer yet. A year from now when I'm standing here, I probably will, in terms of that match to your question around, are we rightly resourced, and how does that correlate to our outcomes? But, I think the impact, regardless, not just Nauset, from my past experiences, and again, knowledge and connections with other districts, this has been a struggle writ large, for sure. But one thing that I have learned here, not just in OES, but in all of our schools, is we have tremendously talented teachers who are working super hard, doing wonderful work, and I know that that's the case in OES. And I think you'll see that in the outcomes. But Vicki, would you add anything if you were here at the podium that I didn't mention?
Vicki, we do need to get you on mic. And one thing is, she's coming up, if you haven't done a tour of the new high school, and I was curious when we did the tour, as you enter a classroom, there is what looks like an old wall, like I'll call it a shoe rack, where shoes would be put in. That's actually for students staying focused as they come into the classroom. All their devices go into the pockets. So there's no touching devices during a learning opportunity. So.
Absolutely. No, thank you very much. And I do want to echo what Dr. Brand just said, but I do want to just add that actually Orleans and Eastham was recognized by the state this year for closing the achievement gap, one of the few actually schools that got recognized for this in Massachusetts for between post-pandemic. So I just wanted to say that there's been a lot of great work happening here. So.
Mark, go ahead.
Just tangential to that discussion that we're having with those gaps and stuff. I've been reading a lot over the last few months about the developments in mostly the European countries, in the developed Western European countries that have much higher test scores across the boards in many of the academic areas than the United States does. And one of the things that's become much more pronounced of late is their shelving of technology in the classroom, that they're eliminating screen time for kids so that learning is not being done with a tablet and a laptop or a computer, that is being done through engagement between the teacher and the student. And that they have done many, many more studies, I think, that at least have been published in Europe than we've done in the United States. But all of them indicate that we have gone downhill significantly since we started relying on electronic devices as a teaching tool. So I'm wondering whether the region or the Orleans Elementary School has begun to have a discussion about that and taken a serious look at where we're going in terms of use of screens as a teaching tool in the classroom. Because it does have
So it
significant
is
budgetary
such a
implications.
relevant topic, and I think it's a really huge discussion across the state and all the schools. I know that last year, our digital literacy committee started kind of unpacking that work, looking at what the standards are, what are required, really starting to have those discussions around what do we mean by intentional use of technology, and what is appropriate for each grade level, you know what I mean? Because what it would look like in kindergarten and first grade in terms of using technology would be different than high school. This is work that's continuing this year. We also started an AI committee to kind of take a look at that as well, because this is a tool that's being also widely used. So how do we incorporate that and also make sure that there's safeguards around it? So this is something that is an active progress that we're going to continue well into next year as well. We want to bring in more stakeholders, have our community members and families be part of the work as well, as we kind of take a look at how do we want to make sure that if we're putting kids in front of screens and we're using those tools, that we really are doing it with intention and are not just doing it as kind of placeholders, you know.
But and just to finish up on that, is there a recognition or discussion about, you know, what appears to be the negative impact of the screens and technology on student learning that has been shown across the board in the European nations?
Yes, so like overall, I know that last year they did a whole book study around it too, just to kind of learn more about like the negative impact. Like I said, it's an active discussion that's happening currently, and I think that, like I said, just taking this year just to kind of understand what the work has been happening so we can kind of continue it. But we definitely, like I said, we need to take a closer look and kind of put into our processes exactly how are we using technology, like I said, at the different grade levels to make sure that when we are using it, it's being used effectively.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the board? Go ahead, Matt.
Just to follow up on the outcome questions that we're talking about now, you know, one of the things that's happened over the last 5 or 10 years, even longer, is that the growth of students that either go off to charter schools, they go to private schools, they go to home learning. Does that distort the numbers that come out for you know, the MCAS and other testing measurements?
Distort in terms of, is their data or their performance included in ours? Is that the question? Or
I guess that's part of it.
the answer is no. That the students that are correct. Students that are in a charter school or tech school or any other school environment, their MCAS scores, if they're taking MCAS, are not included in our data set.
So there's a fairly large group of students that you might even describe as being more motivated, at least families that are more motivated, who are no longer part of what's tested in the regional
Correct.
schools.
And I'll speak a little bit more about that in the regional presentation.
Yep.
Not about test scores, but about that complement of students.
Yeah, we are migrating into a region, but yes, please.
If I can answer the gentleman's question about transportation.
Just grab a mic.
There you go. The reason why that transportation number for that student is so high, is higher than normal, is because we have to use two different vendors. So the student goes in on one vendor in the morning, but then with the services and everything else that's taken place, sometimes it may be later on in the afternoon, we have to get another vendor to take that student back. And it might be later on in the afternoon, and we might have to pay for a full ride all the way through. So that's one of the main reasons, and that's all, like Dr. Brand said, IEP driven. So.
Thanks. Any other OES-related questions?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Back to the outcomes. My colleague talked about math and reading, but that's only part of the curriculum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a global measure, I mean, that we can talk about? Because
I'll let
what I'm trying to say is, it's almost out of context to just look at two things, right?
Completely agree. And so there is not a global measure, say, that the state uses, but there are multiple measures. And you know, I know I can speak for Vicky on this and myself. You know, MCAS, there's an awful lot of attention often given, right? I'm not saying here, but in a lot of communities around MCAS and how does that rank? And that's but one measure. But there certainly are others, and any sound school system that is paying attention to that is meaningfully gathering other data points internally. Nothing to do about the state, local or federal, but internally to try and measure progress. There's a number of tools, assessment tools that we have and are using with our educators. I don't know if you want to speak just real briefly to that, or if you had anything else.
So absolutely, we have, like I said, like Dr. Brand said, MCAS is just one measure. We do have a lot of different assessments that we use. Not only we have district assessments that we use that are K-12, we have some very specific assessments by subject that we use, and our teachers are constantly engaged in data discussions to kind of analyze the data, because we want to be as timely and responsive to the student needs as like we can. I think that what I'm kind of hearing a little bit, that maybe in a future, if there's interest by the school committee, I'm happy to come in and do like more of an informational around our data, you know, that we can, because so we can spend a little bit of time kind of unpacking that and discussing it. But we use a lot of different measures. So we also look not only at our academic data, but we look at student attendance, because that also has an impact, you know, on our student achievement. We kind of take a look at social emotional skills, you know, how are the students responding? Are they available for learning? So we really try to take a 360 look at our kids to make sure, like I said, that we are really matching what we're putting in place to the needs of the individual students.
Yeah, I might be getting in the weeds a bit here, but is there some sort of correlation between performance of the two core subjects and the overall scores? I mean, if we're doing better on MCAS,
Should we see
Yeah.
similar or parallel?
Yeah.
I think it depends on what the measure exactly is, and if it's a measure that has been tested and is of high quality, technically, sure, there should be. Now, there can be, of course, variability in that, but
of course,
bringing together the data as a comprehensive set of data tools and pieces to analyze a child's progress is essential.
Okay.
And so.
The reason why I asked the question is because looking at just two data points, it's a good question to ask. Can people read and count?
Certainly.
You know, but that's not the complete story, right? Thank you.
Completely.
Andrea?
And this is, you may not have this, but it's another data point. For our students, because I was shocked when I was teaching at the middle school, what are the current numbers in the elementary school about food or housing insecurity?
That's a great question. I'm not sure what that number looks like.
Well, there's a correlation with learning
So-
and successful
certainly, and
outcomes.
socioeconomics, yes. There is, for sure. I'm sorry, I thought you were asking that number specifically.
No, I
but-
was just, in
yeah.
terms of how we think about success.
Right.
It's, to Nick's point, a little more holistically.
I don't know.
Things have gotten really tough.
You can get buried in the details and have no outcome conclusion, or you can oversimplify it and have the same problem, you know? Sorry.
Dick, did you have another question?
Yes, I assume you monitor grade inflation, and I was wondering if there's any correlation between, or a reverse correlation between the grade inflation or lack thereof and the outcomes, say, 10 years ago. So, you know, my expectation would be that the number of, the grade, average grade should be going down in the face of the fact that you have fewer people than 10 years ago at a standard that was higher. Is that the case, or is it not the case?
I don't know the answer to that question. Vicki, would you?
So as it relates to elementary, we use standard-based grading, so not letter grades like we used to a while ago. And what that allows us to really do is to measure if a student has met the state standards that we have for each different subject matters, which breaks down. So like, are they showing proficiency with these particular writing skills? Or are they showing proficiency with like, being able to interpret fractions, that the way that standards are expecting for them to be in that grade level. And I think that the nice shift for elementary students from letter grade is that it really kind of focuses on a student's ability to make growth, because we know that there's some skills that are quite complicated that take a couple of years for them to master. So that's kind of how we measure achievement at the elementary level. In terms of the middle school and high school, we do use a grading system, a more standardized letter grading system. And I know that they look at the students' average scores, but that is something that is on my personal docket to kind of dive in a little bit more to take a look at how we are measuring at the high school level too.
Any other questions of finance?
Anybody else?
Select Board? Matt, please.
Just really a comment and one request. First, I think the presentation of this budget is a big improvement over what we've become accustomed to over the years, so my compliments to you for that. I was liking the slide that had the enrollment numbers and the number of teachers put together on it. And so my request would be that maybe next year there were to be an additional line with total number of FTEs in the school, not just teachers, in relation to the number of students.
You will have that, and you can. Well, first off, an opportunity to just bring to the fore again the work that's ongoing within the central office to transition to a new financial reporting tool, Tyler Technologies. I think folks were brought up to speed with that last year. That work, I can tell you, kudos to the folks in central office who have been working tirelessly. The training involved in that, I'm not sure if the town's gone through such a conversion. It's immense and intense and continues, but as of July 1st, we'll be transitioning to that. That will provide us with a whole host of improvements in our ability to report out to you folks as elected officials and the towns at large what our numbers are looking like. The full-time equivalency, or FTE count, is something that I think is essential to tell the whole picture. Sure, of course, the dollars are one thing, but the staffing is also an equal amount. And I can assure you it's something that I draw upon in my work to help deliver a budget, and sometimes it's been a little bit of a struggle here and there as we pick up the pieces, we meaning Bob and Paul and I. But we're heading towards a new system that will allow for that very thing that you asked for. I think it's essential to tell a broader picture and a broader story. Sorry. So
Nice. So Glenn, I've just got one question, and it relates to the central office cost allocation. So is that usage-based, or you just take, like the 594, 579, that's allocated to OES? How do you take the big pot and allocate it out?
thanks. But I can take my learning curve has been good and steep, but I'll defer to Bob. There he is, who will be far more eloquent in his description of that.
That allocation is based on the enrollment in each of the elementary schools as a percentage of the total enrollment in the region, including the region. So
Okay.
a portion of that, almost 60%, is allocated, the cost is allocated to the region, and the remaining 40% or so is allocated to the 4 elementary districts, of which 50% is Brewster. So you're absorbing the balance of that 50% of 40%.
Yeah.
That makes sense to you?
It makes a lot of sense. I think it's a simple and easy way to do it. It just, again, prompts the thought of those, what I'll call shared services, could be allocated, more on the benefit they get from them. And, we can slice and dice these, the point that you'll never get a budget produced, and I don't want that to happen. But just, a thought process in terms of there could be some fixed costs that wouldn't want to be allocated that way. You know, this, and the last thing I'd say is, you know, to anybody that is just seeing how Dr. Brand and the whole team has come up to speed so quickly. We got a great preview of your budget back when you did our budget workshop in January, and that was really, really helpful. I know a number of the FinCom members went, so please keep that up. It gives us a really good opportunity to more informally chat with you as opposed to a, you know, meeting like this, but that was really helpful.
Thank you for
So
that
I
feedback.
think it'd be good to move on to the region.
If I may, the Chair, I know, Sassy, did you want to say a couple things?
Hello, everybody. Cassandra Roach, Sassy Roach, Chair of the Orleans School Committee. I would just like to speak to a few things that we share at our meetings weekly, but not everyone's able to attend or get them. So I just would like to share a little bit of information with you. I appreciate the opportunity to address the Select Board and the FinCom regarding the importance of OES, which serves a vibrant community of pre-K to 5 students. The robust, dedicated of both new and veteran teachers, as well as para-educators, work collaboratively to support every student. This includes addressing the diverse needs of 42 students, roughly 27% of our population, requiring varied degrees of special education, from low-level support to one-on-one assistance. This year, we've seen our enrollment grow by 21 children, reflecting the positive impact of the new housing initiatives in town. However, it's important to note that the overall number may not fully represent this growth, as a total of 13 students withdrew over the summer, 9 moved, 2 transferred to private schools, and 2 became homeschooled. Our outgoing 5th grade of 22 became an incoming class of 20. Despite these fluctuations, we remain optimistic about future enrollment as more housing opportunities become available. New students entering OES can bring different educational experience, requiring new programs to be developed to meet their needs after the budget is approved. Because of the talented staff at OES, Principal Pender has been able to design programs to meet incoming students' needs by shifting staff. She also creatively engages all her teaching staff in literacy interventions to support student success. It's not uncommon to see a specialist in a classroom supporting the literacy needs of a student still struggling. Our staff is committed to fostering an equitable learning environment, ensuring that every child receives the necessary support to thrive. With the decrease of a 0.8 teacher, we feel the staff collectively collaborates to support each student. This budget demonstrates a commitment to programming and impartial education. We are thankful to the town taxpayers of Orleans that recognize the vital role of the school and in supporting families and fostering community growth. By investing in our school, we can ensure that all our children, regardless of their needs, have the opportunity to succeed and develop to their fullest potential. Thank you for your support.
Thanks, Sassy.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Hey, Sassy, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I'm just curious, because a lot of people have been wondering for the last couple of years what the impact would be of the various housing projects on enrollments in the school. And is there going to be a way to be more precise about that measurement? I mean, is there a way to know that 15 students are here because they moved into housing that was created, as part of the housing created in the last few years? Or is this just going to be sort of an anecdotal kind of observation?
Well, we definitely know where the kids are coming from, one, transportation and the enrollment in our school. And I know because I watched your meeting the other night, I know that they spoke to sharing data about who moved into the housing. But if you are at West Road around 220, you'll see 7 little people pop off. So I can say that. And or if you go there in the morning, and I know because that is my niece and nephew's bus route that they've rerouted that. So it's happening.
I'm sure it is happening. It just seems to me that that would be something that we could actually count definitively rather than just ballpark.
When Elaine shared with us about the influx of children this year, She said it was kind of out of character on how children usually move into the district or into the elementary school, where we usually get little people in the summer and then they come in. This has been to this week, to the next week, as housing has become available, as children have moved in. So we, I look forward to hearing those numbers as well.
Thank you.
Great. Alice?
This topic has kind of become passion of mine, Sassy. So, but if I heard you correctly, you gave numbers of students who had moved in and had moved out.
Yes.
Okay. And I know you have a wonderful guidance counselor at your school.
sure
I've
do.
talked with her. I'm just wondering, and this is a bit of a rhetorical question, but I want to be sure that we're exploring it. I'm just wondering if she has given, has been able to sort of analyze the conditions under which those kids are not staying as permanent members of the community. And as I said, we don't need to answer that now, but I would love to know that that's being explored.
While children are leaving?
Yeah.
I mean, I can only speak to the 13 children that withdrew from July on. I'm pretty sure it was 3 families, and 2 of those families had multiple children. I know one was for housing. We could definitely get more information, but that is kind of where Elaine.
I think that will help us with,
Yeah.
with some of the housing questions in terms of, my concern has been, are we developing the kind of housing that will keep kids and families here? Or are we looking at housing that's needed, I'm sure, and perfectly fitting for transient situations? And that would be a huge impact on the school. Not only in terms of, the revolving door of coming in and coming out, but the stress that that kind of environment puts on the staff at the school is huge. And it's very, very costly. So that's the end of my soapbox on that one, but I'll talk further with your principal about it.
Well, my soapbox will be that I find that the people within our building are supporting any child that walks in that door.
Yes, I know that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, OES.
Thanks.
Back to Dr. Brand.
Do you need a break?
I think we're good. Oh, we go till 9 some nights.
Okay, I'll try and move through this swiftly in interest of your time, and thank you for all of it. A shout out to, and I know many are well aware of the school committee members who, this is a partnership, and we've had the good fortune, Bob, Paul, and I, to work closely along with the central office team and being able to arrive at this today. I thought I would just give you some general highlights on the, if I may, on the district as a whole, and then we'll get right into the budget proposal for fiscal year 27 for the region, middle school and high school. Mention a little bit about the finance and operations, and since I arrived July 1st, but even before that, as many are aware, the district lost a longtime director and assistant director of finance, and so that certainly created a lot of challenges for us as a team that formed, but again, shout out to both of them who have been just instrumental in helping. We are in the middle of a search right now. I just want to point out that the title by the position by title was director, and it was a couple of months ago that I thought a change in that title to assistant superintendent might make a difference. There are sometimes, for those folks that are out there in similar titled positions who are looking for upward mobility, and sometimes that can make a difference. By all accounts, I think it did. It helped a little bit. The candidate pool for these positions is still very small. There are, about a month ago, we knew of at least 12, if not 15 districts that were searching for in the Commonwealth positions. But we have 2 candidates that are moving forward that we're excited about that have a school finance background experience, and we are moving into the next stages of the interview process next week. So we're moving in the right direction, and I know it can't come soon enough for our district and Bob and Paul, who will, I know, not be leaving us high and dry, but we can take advantage of all that they've learned as well, too. District leadership. You met Vicki. Both she and I have absolutely enjoyed our time of learning about all that is Nauset. We have continuing members in the other positions at central office, which is terrific. Overall, the 26 budget included 9 district leaders. I want to point out that the fiscal year 27 plan includes the addition of 2. One I mentioned, and I'll expand upon in a moment, the Director of Communications and Community Engagement. We also added Assistant Director of Nutrition and Food Services, but it's really important to note that that is going to be fully funded from the revolving account or revolving funds for food and nutrition. There's not an impact on the budget. Our school building leadership across the board remains steady. That is to say, each of our 7 schools, have a dedicated full-time principal. And at the middle school and high school, as I'm sure members are aware, those 2 schools have 2 assistant principals each. In terms of priorities for next fiscal year, not in any particular order, enhanced communication. There is no question that, as I've mentioned, so forgive me if you've heard me say this before, that one of the dominant themes that I have heard since coming into this role and even before is the desire by members of our communities at large for improved and enhanced communication with and between the school system at large and the community. That is a strong and consistent theme, and I'm well aware of that, and I see all kinds of opportunity for that. Of course, the opening of the Nauset Regional High School, thank you for many who I know were at that ribbon-cutting ceremony. As I've said before, and I know you were there at the budget workshop, what an amazing building, and if you have not had a chance, please do. It is the pride that hopefully is everywhere, and I think should be. What an amazing facility that the towns have, and kudos to all of those for their involvement in the visioning of that, and of course the support of the residents. Teaching and learning, you heard about some of the endeavors that we're focused on. And they are many, of course, the core of our work. Artificial intelligence and technology we talked about, seeking to ensure we have consistency and alignment of instructional practices across our schools at large. Pre-kindergarten programming, I mentioned briefly, but just again, it is something that is abundantly clear to me that we need to take serious stock in and focus on what the future of that programming looks like as we move forward. In terms of communication and engagement, this to me, I think, there's a lot of important work that I think a community should expect of its schools and school districts, but I think foremost is communication. And there are an awful lot of individuals who are very interested, and so they should be, and engaged in what is going on with the schools. And I think that there's all kinds of opportunity, as I mentioned here, for us. And I think that this really should be a central value. It is to me in terms of this communication with our staff, communication with our families, and communication for community members that may not have a child or a grandchild in the school system, but nevertheless have a keen interest and desire to know what's going on. I think that that's really critical. And this strategy, this approach of having someone who is dedicated to help drive and lead this work, I think really is essential. What inevitably happens from my experience in school systems is that you have this as dispersed amongst many different individuals. Mm-hmm. Some are better at it than others. Some have a skill set that doesn't match the others. And I think that having it in one individual to help oversee and coordinate will help greatly. We have the challenge, and you all know it who have been here a long time, we have our 4 different communities. Communication is a struggle often in one single school district. But when you have multiple ones, it's an added element, certainly. I think there is so much that we have here to celebrate in all of our schools. And I think we have a runway that is miles long to get at to try and make sure that people are well aware of that. And consistent experience. What I have heard, and the data shows this, families have a very different experience as they move, say, from the elementary school to the middle school and then beyond in terms of what communication looks like, where to go to find information. It's real. It exists. And I know we can improve upon this. And some of the underlying sort of rationales that I see that can come along with this position. I just want to talk a little bit about this piece here. It was mentioned a little bit earlier. And I think if you'll stay with me, I think there's a nexus here, a connection to the communication piece. One of the things that struck me is that we have an awful lot of students who are Nauset residents in the four towns, but do pursue educational experiences in other locations. Please don't get me wrong, choice is a great thing, and there's a lot, and I don't mean school choice as we often refer to it as, but families everywhere do have an awful lot of choice now, which is easy to argue is a great thing. We have a number of students, 121 as of October 1st. This is a reference of October 1st enrollment data capture on DESE, that are Nauset students that are attending charter schools. We have an awful lot of students who are, you'll see in a moment, who are choicing out to other districts. To me, this is an important number for lots of reasons to focus on, and I can't help but think that part of this could be wrapped up in, are we doing the best job we can to let families and students know about all the amazing programs that are here? I think that there's a lot of room to grow with that. And I do not think that bring on board a single person to help drive improvements in communication will change that number in and of itself. But I certainly think that it can help if we make sure that families know the amazing learning opportunities they'll have here. And from a fiscal standpoint, I had to double check, but it amounts, as you can see here, that number, those numbers are real. Outbound tuition, $26,576 for every charter school student that we lose, to use that term. It rolls up to a large number. I think that through our enhanced efforts to try and improve this, if we can swing, convince, keep, attract a handful of students every year, that's going to be better for everybody. So student and family attraction and retention, and by the way, this is not just at the high school, I think this is at the middle school, and I think that this starts even before middle school, without question. It's something that I, in my previous district, spent a lot of time thinking holistically about, because we're also losing an awful lot of students for different reasons, but it's something that we can make a difference and move the needle on with a concerted effort, and I think that that can hold true here in Nauset. Of course, the big question as well, regardless of this, is how many students may we have lost because the high school was under construction. I'll be keenly interested to try and monitor that as this new building is now complete. We'll certainly see. And certainly, last but not least, a new strategic plan. As many may be aware, our plan wrapped up at the end of last school year. We have embarked upon the development of a new plan. Here you can see the number of members. The response from stakeholders was just terrific for so many who wanted to get involved, and we have representatives here from community members at large to school and district leaders, parents, guardians, and students. I'll point out as well too. A great group that's already hard at work with the goal to have a new strategic plan and ready to present to the school committee at the end of June or thereabouts. School enrollment, some of these slides I did share with you, those that were at the budget workshop, but I just thinking through the lens of those that may not have had the chance to attend or those in the community who may be watching. Enrollment is on a decline, and I know that I've heard a lot of concern about that here in Nauset, totally understandable, but it's also a concern across the state. 15,000 students were lost in public schools in Massachusetts from last year to this year. It has caught a lot of people's attention. There's a number of factors that others have identified that they believe firmly has attributed to that, and these are captured there. 3-year enrollment comparison, these are October 1st numbers, again, just to point out from the Department of Education and the information that we report. So there's very possibilities that these have changed since then, but this provides you with a 3-year enrollment comparison. And just a few years ago, you can see we were at 2,079 students across the district and now at 1971. Cape Cod District's 3-year enrollment comparison. And as I pointed out at the budget workshop, there is absolutely a trend, a theme that is shared across all of the Cape districts, Cape Cod school districts, as I discovered. And this you can see as a 3-year comparison across the board with the state roll-up down the bottom there. So it is certainly, as it should be, a concern here in Nauset, and that I understand. It's a concern really everywhere across the board. School choice on Cape Cod, as I've also come to learn, is alive and well shared by, or participated rather in, by I think all of our school districts here. And on the right-hand side, you can see the school choice in numbers, so those who are coming from Harwich or Chatham or wherever to the middle school and high school, as well as school choice out numbers down the bottom. And so just to share that here. Moving into the middle school and high school, we have a lot of great work that's happening as Vicki and I have come to learn at both schools, a lot of curricular work. Both schools are benefiting from stability in their leadership teams with the principals and assistant principals, which is just tremendous and makes certainly a great difference in the operation of any school. Moving into fully and completely the new campus, of course, and a lot of great things that are happening, and a lot of pride that if you don't have a child or children somehow connected to these schools, they're great places. They're vibrant places, and it's great to hear the comments that I am as I settle into this new role. We have students who are so active in our communities, in community partnerships, and that includes, of course, at the high school as well as the middle school. And just wonderful to see the strength and in community involvement here. Just in the interest of time, I'll jump into the budget presentation. So I want to start first with the high school and middle school. This gives you a snapshot of, talk about FTEs, and this admittedly is focused more just specifically on teachers. But I think that it's important to point out here what you see is the adjustment in staffing, again, for teachers, FTE, full-time equivalency. We do have some folks that work part-time, not full-time, and then hence why you have that decimal point there. What I want to draw your attention to at the top line is the high school's adjustment over the recent years, and 79.3 FTEs back in fiscal year 22 to this current fiscal year of 71.2. A slightly less adjustment, but nevertheless still some at the middle school there. A strategy, if you will, I guess, an approach in terms of trying to seek the opportunity to reduce staff through attrition where and when possible. And as I've discovered, that's something that is and has been playing out, in particular at the high school. 26 to 27 comparison, you can see here, starting with the middle school at the top, this is broken down in salaries as well as expenses. So the middle school, just to pause on that for a moment at the top, you can see the overall increase or difference in a dollar value from in this budget, what's being proposed to you is $311,031, representative of 3.69% increase. I don't think it was mentioned earlier, but just to bring to everyone's attention, we are going into the third year of a 3-year collectively bargained agreement. The increase in there is 3.25%. And of course, as many are aware, a number of staff, in addition to that COLA or cost of living increase, also have lane adjustments as well too. The high school is at the bottom of that page, and you can see the salary difference there and expenses. And the question would be, how can that possibly be so low? That's what I asked. And that's clearly, though, representative of the adjustment in staffing that the administration was able to make there after the FY26 budget was approved, but through attrition was able to capitalize, if you will, on some of those reductions. So you can see the total increase for the regional high school down the bottom right at 0.8% increase from fiscal year 26 to 27. This is a sheet with a lot of numbers, but I'm going to guess a lot of folks in this room are well used to seeing this sheet. And I won't certainly go through every line, but just to bring to your attention, first off, at the top, you can see this broken down with the central office share, the region share of central office, as was mentioned a little bit ago by Bob, region only, middle school, and high school. To bring your attention to the combined total region expenses, percentage change in going into fiscal year 27 with this budget plan from FY26 is 1.69% increase. So under 2% for all of those combined. And then down the bottom, you see the revenue sources that have been applied. I know there's a lot there, but Chapter 70 aid, charter school aid. I will point out we're anticipating a reduction in state transportation aid, and that's because of the fact that we are not continuing, or Bob can help me with this, but the leases have fallen off, and so the expenses are decreasing, and because the expenses are decreasing, so too is the state revenue or aid for that. I'll also point out the excess and deficiency, or E&D. Bob and I and Paul have come to understand, a lot of discussion certainly amongst different entities. The proposed plan here is to start to reduce the E&D. Number is a revenue source overall, and last year going into this year, it was higher. This budget proposal includes utilization of $1 million from E&D. We think that it's important to try and make sure that we can maintain a healthy balance there for any emergencies, and we're starting to have, certainly, I am some concern around the middle school from some systems there that we have to attend to, so I think that this is important. But it is important to point out that because of those reductions overall in the revenue within the region, you see the overall increase down the bottom there of 4.81% increase because of those adjustments. So expenses, we feel pretty good about what we're able to deliver. This revenue sources has had an impact. Bob, anything that you think I may have left out there that you think folks should know on that slide?
No, no, I think you've highlighted all the important pieces of that.
You can see, thank you, Bob, the assessment here and the calculation using the statutory assessment. And thank you to Bob for his work in incorporating all of the various numbers here on the slide that you have on the screen and before you in the packet. Capital plan, thank you for your patience. Just a couple more slides. This gives you a snapshot of what the capital outlay subcommittee proposed to the regional school committee. That $632,000 is part of the regional agreement in terms of that amount, and we backed into that, identifying a number of projects at the middle school and the high school. The large number there, $250,000, that's the AHU air handler unit in the gymnasium at the middle school. There are two. As I have come to learn, one has failed. The other, it's an old system. It's a steam system, I believe. So there is definitely some growing concern around the operational status of that space. These are going to be expensive units, and we've incorporated plans for one. We're also exploring the possible use of E&D, though, to try and offset that, because that would qualify, we believe, because it's a unit that failed this year. The high school, lesser expenses, but certainly things that are incorporated, in there as well, too. This gives you an overview of the 5-year capital plan, first with the middle school, with no surprise, more things that are incorporated, or included rather, here. But it just gives you a sense of some of the things that we're thinking about as we move forward. And then the high school capital plan, obviously a lot less, as one would expect with a brand new building, but nevertheless trying to be mindful of some different things that we need to support. So I know that was a lot. Thank you for your patience. I'm very happy to take any questions if members of the committee have.
Thank you, Glenn. FinCom? Elaine?
Dr. Brand, one quick question. During the blizzard, the Nauset High School was being used as a relief center, and some of the systems failed?
Yes.
Like the generator systems and so
Yeah.
on. Where is, we probably don't have time to get that into this budget?
So I have a solid answer for you on this because I explored this. So the understanding that we have is that when the system was designed, it was designed to be able to rely upon emergency generator, provide heat and electricity to specific parts of the buildings. I guess it was tested, but not tested under electric failure conditions. And what was discovered was that while the units were working, the heat and lights, the thermostatic controls for those units were not connected properly to the generator. So the heat was there ready to go, but the thermostats were not able to trigger that. So it was a defect. It's been remedied as part of the building project. There's no specific costs here. I still think we should test it out, but truly test it out. But that would require cutting the power. So a little more complicated, but it's something that Bob Capurso, our outgoing director of facilities, and I have talked about, and we think that we should do so. It's clear to me that there was a lot of stock put in that facility to help serve that purpose. Unfortunately, it wasn't ready for that, but we need to make sure it's ready for the next time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
One quick question for you, getting back to the OESU budget. I just want to be sure I'm clear on this.
Ellie.
Sorry. just one quick question on the OESU budget, to be sure I'm clear on this. So at the March 9th presentation, we were looking at the grants and the IDEA and it was looking as though, with the expectations of that money, you were looking at an 8.35% increase in the budget. Is that still correct?
Paul, do you have that? For OES specifically.
Paul, you gave us two numbers that day on March 9. Without the federal grants, we were looking at a 9.58% increase, and with the federal grants at 8.35.
Right.
Are those still solid?
Yes.
Thank you.
Those are still solid. In addition, Matt Kravitz, the Director of Special Education, has put in for extraordinary relief for the circuit breaker, for the out-of-district placement that we have. I don't think we're gonna qualify for Orleans, but we're doing that anyways. So circuit breaker, I think we got a good number on that. It probably will go a little bit higher, because we're a little bit lower on the transportation end of it, based on past years, but.
And then just for clarification for the others, because I believe I asked this, but I can't even remember what the answer was. The way you parcel out those grants to the schools that come into the central office, it's based on what formula? Do we know?
I think it was prior years, the title grants, and we're
For
only,
what portion of IDEA, the special education grant, would go to the OESU school? Is that parceled out by student numbers, overall costs? Do we know?
I took this year's numbers and just moved it into next year. I will get you that information. I'm not sure on that.
Okay, that would be wonderful, because I just, sort of looking out for OESU, for OES, as our numbers and costs have increased, I hope that formula is adjusted appropriately to reflect that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great.
It does.
Thanks.
And as well, circuit breaker funding will also be increased, and I'm not sure, circuit breaker might be a whole other conversation at some point, but the additional aid from the state to help with those high out-of-district costs. And we certainly can and will talk more about that as we get those numbers coming in into next year.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anything else, FinCom?
Yeah, I have a question. Back to the enrollments. Do we have a handle on how many students are homeschooled and how many students go to private schools? I mean, they're not even on our radar,
We do. I don't have those numbers with me tonight, but we do have those numbers. We have an obligation to track those. I can certainly report back to you. on
No,
those,
I mean, because that would support I'm trying to support what you said earlier, that a communication campaign might have some good results there.
Right.
The other question has to do with staffing. And you mentioned, you had the FTEs.
Right.
And, part of it, the numbers include attrition, staff renewal, presumably. And then when we move to the dollars, there's an issue of salary compression, too. It's not as if newer people make a hell of a lot less than the people who are retiring, right?
Right.
Is that a good picture? I mean,
It could be. I mean, certainly, first off, it is indeed the case there are going to be some retirements that happen. For example, there was a music teacher that retired in the fall from the high school. That position was replaced. Music is still a vibrant program, and I'm not sure off the top what that new person came in at salary-wise. It certainly would have been lower than the retiring teacher. But there are other programs where, let's say that there's a particular discipline that has lower interest from students, lower enrollment, and there's a retirement there. There may be an opportunity that the administration sees to combine teaching sections or subjects for a teacher, and that's exercised, or in some cases, the possible phase-out of a particular undersubscribed program. In terms of the sort of the budgetary approach for estimation, if we know that staff member X is going to retire at the end of the year, and we know that well enough in advance, we will incorporate it into the budget plan. One of the challenges right now is we don't have that, we don't have the date in which staff members are obligated to tell the district is after the budget process. And so it really is dependent upon a staff member who's, lets us know in advance. We put in a placeholder for a salary savings, perhaps. Let's say, I'm making this number up, let's say the staff member is making $90,000 upon retirement. We might put in a lower number, $65,000. It all depends, though, of course, on what the candidate pool looks like and whether or not that materializes. But we are thinking about that all the time as we try to piece together a budget.
So basically, for the sake of people, the thousands of people that are watching this hearing, teacher salaries are not exactly variable costs, right?
Right.
Okay. Because sometimes when some of us come from a part of the corporate world where labor is variable cost,
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good points. Select board questions? Michael?
Hi, Dr. Brand.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. I just got a couple quick ones that I've received over the year. We're providing lunch and breakfast for the students. Is that correct?
That is correct.
In all 3 schools?
In all of our schools, yes. The state has, I think it was a couple of years ago, where it is in effect providing access to free lunch and breakfast as well too. So.
And does that go into the summer, or?
Does that go into the summer? That's a good question.
Different program.
Yeah.
There is a local
There,
program.
there was a time period post-COVID.
Right.
In which that was my pause to think about that, but that has phased itself out. But thank you. The other programs that are available, I will admit I don't know an awful lot about those as I stand here right now, but the rest of the students, yes, access to free and universal lunch.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Also, the auditorium, the Arts Center, are you renting that out, or?
We in the new school?
Yes.
Yeah. So very limited thus far, but we are working at putting into place a plan such that we can really lean into renting, making those spaces available for the community. You know, the full building opened, as you know, just in January, and so we're working on a process, procedures to really make widely available the spaces that I know was part of this building plan. So we're getting there. It's just taking a little bit of time, but we will absolutely be making that widely available, and we hope that community members will use it, organizations. So.
And then just quickly, lastly, I've mentioned this a couple times in the past few years about the PV canopy at the middle school, which is phenomenal, and I'm hoping we do more as a town of those type of things. Have you considered that? I guess I haven't heard back the results of that. Has it been successful for you? Have you been able to use that to really defer your costs in electric?
I must tell you, I don't know, but I'm not.
It can be for a later time.
Yeah,
but
Bob, did you hear that question, and do you have any insight in terms of that at all?
It does provide revenue. We do get periodic checks which go into a revolving account, which is used to offset the cost of our the electricity at the middle school.
just wondering if you consider it successful for the cost and the time that it took to put it together. And you don't have to answer now. That's fine. But if it is, would you consider something at your other schools?
It certainly is beneficial. I don't know what the cost was, so I wasn't here, so I'm not sure. I haven't really done a cost-benefit analysis financially. But I think in general, a return on those is worthwhile. It's just a question of the length of time that it takes to get the return on that investment. and not knowing the cost, I don't know what that timeline is.
Didn't cost us anything? All right.
That's a good cost.
From the chair. That's, thanks, Judy.
Yeah.
Wow. Can we have one of those?
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm kind of going. But-
Okay. You
Thank
good?
you. I'm good.
All right. Any other
Appreciate it.
board members? Yeah, please.
The elementary school participates in an offset program also at the, your building maintenance, what's his name now?
Ron Collins?
Ron spearheaded that, so it is very, very viable at the elementary level
There we go.
for electricity.
That's great news. Thank you.
So, Kim, go ahead.
Thank you. So, thank you for this presentation. Thank you to these two interims who are doing amazing work. We just lived through that same scenario ourselves, so we know how much work this was to get this to this point, so we appreciate it. That being said, this isn't a catch. We just want you to walk us through the assessment calculation so that we have the right number, because there's two different numbers on, that we're working with, and I just want to make sure we have the ones you need. That's all. Other than that, perfect, right? We just want that.
Mr. Dutch.
Oh, wait, one other thing I wanted to say, because it didn't come up. We also understand the value of having that public outreach, public information position. I fully support that because it's done tremendous work for us organizationally, and I really do think that is the missing component for you to advertise your excellent program. So I think that's a
Thank
great
you.
addition.
I understand, before turning it over to Bob, my understanding is that Monomoy Regional added this position or a similar position not that long ago. DY has, I think Sandwich has, but Monomoy is the one that has repeatedly come up on a few occasions from folks that follow them or were plugged into them and have seen quite a change in their front-facing communications. So,
It's made an incredible difference to have someone with a, public policy degree and who really understands, the modern ways to reach people
Sure.
that are effective, and it's been great for us, so
Thank
I hope you find
Thank for
someone good.
that. Bob, you want to weigh in on the assessment, please?
Yes, so your operating well, I'm gonna have to pull that back up. Your debt is broken out into two separate numbers. The total is $1,835,084,
Yep.
of which $1,700,319 is the debt, which is the debt exclusion, as I understand it for you. And then the balance of the capital is $134,765, which brings you to the 1.835084 total for your capital assessment. Your operating assessment, let's see, I've got to pull that up, I'm sorry. Your operating assessment is $6,899,780. So your combined total assessment between operating and capital is $8,734,864.
So where Kim's going, I'm going to jump in, that is not the total we have in our current budget. So not for this discussion, but Finance Committee, you're probably aware, we have a gap. And we'll have to discuss that coming up soon.
Small.
It's,
Just send over and confirm what the number is to make
Okay.
sure that we have the right number, that we're agreed on a number, that's all.
Okay.
It's a small difference if it's any, so let's just,
Okay.
so if I can just say one additional thing where Kim was going on the communications outreach. Actually, two things. One is, when you post, assuming the budget's approved, don't hire that person right behind you. That's our communications and outreach.
Nauset is a great place to work. Nauset Public Schools.
She would
Great
never.
place. Good things are happening there.
But
We'll
number
talk.
number two, Glenn, is despite the fact that you have a great story to tell and it's not getting out there, you have many venues and opportunities. If people want to go to like a subcommittee workshop, I have been to a number of them. And again, many of us have actually been either, leading them. I'm looking at a former school teacher that was, going through a lot of this, but they're very welcoming. And I'll tell you one thing, you know, anybody from the public that wants to go to one of these, you can zoom in. You always come away learning something about all of what you do, including how we can be better supporters of you. So again, thanks for what you do, really do.
Thank you.
All right, I think that closes out in.
A motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? And thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Finance Committee, you're more than welcome to stay as we delve into remainder discussion on the budget and
Tomorrow night.
town meeting warrant
We'll
articles.
be here tomorrow night, so we
Okay.
will depart.
Great.
I have pizza. I got 2 pizzas right before the meeting.
All right.
Hear the budget, the
Yeah.
warrant discussion.
Where?
I do too.
Because
Three Fools
All right.
wasn't on DoorDash, so I had to go with Papa Gino's.
Oh, okay.
On the camera, so if anybody
Yeah,
wants.
we're,
Did the boys think that was? They did, they did, absolutely.
I gave them my.
I get a sense, folks, that we might want to take a break. Peggy, we're going to take a 5-minute recess as the folks leave. There are some conversations, so I don't know if you can post on the screen. We're in recess for 5 minutes.
Unfortunately, I can't. You're just going to have to stay on the air.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
Hey, Sassy, thank you for your email, by the way.
Hot mics, as we say.
I apologize for not getting back to you.
Oh, my God.
That was good. And I did enjoy that.
Yeah. I mean, it's
And learned
just,
about it.
you're actually in there and you see it. I mean, I know, and I left meeting that day, that she said, it's a lot. Thank you guys.
As I said in the email, they said that they would put out a blackberry against
So were they all green?
Sister Jenny Farber about it too. She said, "Oh, my goodness, yeah, that." I'm like,
Being strapped.
well, as I said, we have lots of votes against the one that's not by waterwork. That's not gonna be right, that's not gonna be right. But there are other ones that they think, oh, yeah, they should get that now. Isn't that what you told me? Easy peasy. I get back to my maybe by, you know. I was trying to push it this way. I thought I could do it. Times are gonna change. Any more than what was said in there about erosion.
We were actually noticing.
We did our last week, and we did so we may still have to, we are.
If we enter this number, I'll show you what I was.
If we ever turn.
Carol has a plum for Seagull. So we got our Seagull, get together and all that stuff. They're gonna be delivering leaves, compost, and wood chips and.
I'll tell you later. But the bottom line is, it's a good, we're okay.
Made it back from Texas.
I'll tell you, I want to be back there right now. Warm and sunny.
You were in Texas?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was 90-something degrees, and I was like,
That's not warm, that's hot.
well, it was hot.
Oh, but it was dry, right?
It was dry. Dry.
I hear that all the time.
102 in Tucson, I heard.
Well, it's been over 112 in Arizona.
That's the thing. It's nice this time of year-ish there, but I don't think I could do this.
Okay. Folks are ready to get going? All right. Peggy, I know you didn't put us on recess,
1986.
so we're going to move on to item 8 on our agenda, which is the fiscal year 27 town budget, capital improvement plan, and capital budget follow-up discussions. So at this point, we have heard from the schools. We've had multiple opportunities to review our own operating budget as well as capital plan, and we're now at a point of hopefully refining, and even after we had interaction with the schools, we'll come in close on those numbers, I think.
We'll be fine.
Yeah. I don't see as big of a gap.
No, I mean, I was thinking that it probably was enrollment numbers that shifted slightly, and that's really what we're talking about, 1 or 2 students, and so Mark will connect
Right.
with Bob,
But-
or Ed, tomorrow.
Bob Dutch, yeah. But from a standpoint of what is our published budget as of March 13th, I'm looking at Darren, I mean, we should be good on schools, you know, subject to just some final, confirmation of their calculations. Can I just dive in, only because I did send Darren two questions, and I scanned both this one compared to the January, and all I'm seeing are 2 major areas of change, and I think you can answer them.
I can.
So, go ahead.
So the first one was related to the COA budget.
Yeah. Right.
$107,000, I believe, is what you saw.
So we put that in the March budget.
Correct.
Correct.
So what that is the new position that was approved to be sent to town meeting for approval as an override. So that's that's the salary that you see for the position. And then it's offset, so the budget is balanced with an intended override on the revenue side. So that's that one. The other one is for, remind me what it was, the second one that you had, the second one. You're trying to remember too, I just
I'm
started.
trying to remember too.
It's 3.
OES.
OES, yes. So
Thank you.
OES, you had an amount in there. That was the OES increase from the 3%, above the 3% that we had originally budgeted in the budget.
And we were able to absorb that.
We were.
Without need for an override.
Correct.
I'm good.
Me too.
Kim, are you okay?
Having a tough day today.
It's only water.
Yeah.
It's only water. All right. Board members have any questions on the budget? Meph, go ahead.
I just want to be clear on what exactly the override ask is going to be at town meeting.
So the override ask will be approximately $139,000 for both the salary and the benefits for a new assistant director of COA.
And no school override?
Not at this time.
That was my point.
I
There
thought
was
you
a
were just asking
difference.
about the elementary school.
Yeah.
Well,
We were able to absorb it into the budget.
the school number works.
Based upon the reduction in the region's numbers, that we had already absorbed the OAS one into our budget. We were projecting an override for the Nauset district based upon a higher percentage of them coming in. They didn't, and so we can, but I just want to say this because all of our neighbors are facing very high overrides. The only reason we don't have an override is because we had one last year, and we're anticipating on schedule with our contracts to do one next year. And so it's great that we were able to fit all this in, but what that means is we're still gonna have to fit it in again next year, plus what we need. And so I just want everyone to remember, we're managing, right? So,
I think, whoever makes the motion, within the budget might want to point out, that please come and vote, because to fully support the budget will require the override to support the assistant at COA. And maybe explain, this was to benefit the succession planning to do this earlier than waiting till the fall. Because we did plan to do it in the fall, but this is kind of to help, move things along and keep services continuity. I'm looking at our COA friends in the audience, so. I'm feeling pretty good, you guys, where we are on the budget. I'm feeling very good. I still haven't seen it online, but I shouldn't say that.
What we could do is just show you a little glimpse of that, And,
No,
okay.
You don't need to do it tonight. Kim, you
Yes.
ready to?
When else,
can just
when
show you
else
what
are we
the
going to
story's
do
gonna
it?
look
If,
like.
We're meeting next week again.
but we're talking about the warrant.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm just saying, we didn't do it for the budget public hearings. We should at least show the progress so that people know, right?
Okay,
5 minutes.
5 minutes. I'm going to put the timer on.
5 minutes. You're doing so much work on this.
I
and it's
understand.
such a frustrating position to be in when you're in this transition, you know, like, a lot goes on behind the scenes,
Totally.
right, until it comes out.
Totally.
So they are
Use
working
yours.
a lot on it.
Okay.
So it's going to look different once it's posted, but this is how it will, this is like my administrative screen. So this is just an example of one department. So if we use the finance department, all of this background narrative has been entered in through the budget process by department and division heads. So you'll get a sense of what types of services, who's the department head, some goals that each of the departments or divisions have, accomplishments that they've made. And so over years, you'll see progress kind of being memorialized in these places. And then as you scroll down, you can see finance has a lot of goals and accomplishments.
Shocking.
Then you'll see the budget component that's broken out here. Some correspondence about some changes that have been made relative to last year, and then your FTE count
There you go, Meph.
for the department.
Dream come true.
So this is going to be broken out into a table of contents where you can access each department individually and look at them all individually. There'll be an overview page, and so actually tomorrow working on the table of contents so that that can be published and you'll be linked to all of these stories. Go ahead.
And so we'll also have an intro for the main page. We'll have a splash page that will have the town manager's message. They'll give an overview of the entire budget, significant cost drivers, and changes from the previous year's budget, so that so when citizens are able to come in and look at it, they've got a real succinct and clear message of what has changed, and then they'll have links to every one of the budget proposals that they'll be able to access fairly quickly to see something like this.
Nice. A lot of work has gone into this. Really has.
And again, as with all things that we do, every year will get better because there's so many aspects to this software that we are just scratching the surface on. And so you'll expect to see more and more from it as we all become more proficient with it.
Awesome.
I will, since we have a chance, I think Kim actually asked me to do this real quick, is just give you a quick update. I did meet with OpenGov today to initiate the kickoff for what's called the Enterprise Asset Management software for the digital piece of what Bureau Veritas is doing right now. They've essentially completed maybe a third of the asset management review. They're still in the process of going through each one of our buildings and doing an assessment and collecting data. And so we're still going to continue through that. The last building they're going to be in is OES over spring break. And so when they complete that, that will be our last piece of data for the asset management piece of all of our facilities and infrastructure. At the same time, we got Rich here. Rich is working with Waterworth, and I would have him come up, but he probably wants me just to say it. So Waterworth LLC I think they're about, in total, about 2 months out from 2 to 3 months out from completing their analysis as well, and that data will be also given to Bureau Veritas, where they will do essentially a financial pro forma for us to basically project out all of this infrastructure cost out to at least 10 years.
Nice.
So, and so 2 to 3 months for them. We have a deadline to try to complete our data by the end of the fiscal year. And so the hope is that we can get it all done before this fiscal year. So hopefully get something there and then get it into OpenGov so that we have a digital accessible program that can help do our projections and help us with both fleet and facilities maintenance and be able to plan correctly each year based on a budget and a plan for the next 10 years and beyond. So 10 years, it'll be financially identified in terms of the cost of each one of those. And then we will know there will also be projects based on the useful life of those other assets that'll go beyond those 10 years as well. But within the 10 years, there'll be financial planning for that. So we'll be able to see that 10 years out.
Nice.
Yep.
Great work. Any questions? Andrew, please.
It may not be appropriate, but in thinking about the facilities upgrade, just knowing, like on my own roof with my solar panels, when they were installed, the wind speed that they had to comply with was 100, and I think it's now up to 125. Will those assessments on our facilities also account for changing
Code.
Yeah, and climate challenges? I mean, not general climate, but just storm events, basically. What are the standards?
I mean, any new renovations to the facilities would require we'd have those as part of it, and that would be part of the cost analysis. Yeah. Is there an intent to change the existing facilities and bring them up to that code? We'll have to have a conversation because right now it's based on renovation. So, or repair of a facility or the construction of a new facility, right? So obviously construction of a new facility falls under the current code. So.
And just to add, Darren, I
Yeah.
think I might have mentioned it, but with the efficiency and regionalization study, there's already been substantive work done on the assessment of OES. So make sure that they
already have the study.
Great.
We gave them the study already.
Good. All right, any other?
Can I ask you one
Please,
question?
go ahead.
Darren, with the OpenGov program platform, do they put together any online training?
For staff? I mean, for the community, you mean?
For the community.
We can do it.
I will say it's there is the ability to do it. They have YouTube videos and so forth. They have actually a university for the community that you can access. But it's a really easy. It's like a web-based. If you know how to navigate a website, you should be able to navigate.
Easy for
this.
you to say.
But there is. I mean, if someone can go to a YouTube video, they'll be able to see. They'll be able to navigate. It's a very prominent provider of online budgeting across the country, and so there's lots of different videos to be able to show how you can access it. You can actually download some of the data, manipulate it. I'm sure there's people in the community that probably I shouldn't probably be saying that, but manipulate the data so that they can do their own budget calculations and come to here and tell you what they think. So it's a great system. It gives the community some really good information for their own good.
F wants the YouTube, I get it.
We'll help you.
Exactly.
Hopefully it's
All
better
right.
than the IT training that we go through.
Okay.
Gotta be better than that.
So, anything else on the budget? How about the CIP? Capital Improvement Plan? Anything to update us on that?
The one that you see, we do need to go in. There's some changes that Mark has in terms of the warrant. That I just want to make sure we're going to move some revenue, the free cash to levy, just to make sure that those things are in the budget. I think so that's balanced. So
It sounds like we should move into the warrant article discussion.
Yeah.
We good with that? Okay. So item 9, annual town meeting warrant review. Thanks, Darren. Appreciate it.
Okay. So before you have our article planner, some changes that have been made since the last meeting. We have moved 4 articles up into the consent calendar for discussion this evening. We have eliminated the article that was number 23, updating video conferencing technology for Emergency Operations Center, and we've lumped that into the capital improvement budget for FY '27. Let's see. I think those might have been the only adjustments since. Yeah,
Great, so 15 articles, one vote.
correct, as long as the board is open to that.
Would we?
I would add, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just a question, would we be at a point that we might like to place?
I would love for you to place
Recommend.
everything except the ones that I will tell you language is not ready for.
Yeah.
Okay.
like Article 13.
Correct. So if we go through each one and then I can tell you, let's wait for next week. How's that?
So 1 through 15, could we do that as a batch?
Nope.
Except for
Except for-
12 and 13 are
For
two
12
that
and
I
13.
am working on.
Yeah. Yes.
We'll be able to go through this pretty fast, I think.
Yeah. Would you like a motion, Mr. Chair?
I'm waiting.
I move that we place, are we doing a support as well?
You can say place and recommend if you'd like.
Yes,
Yep.
I would like to place and recommend Articles 1 through 15 with the exception of 12 and 13.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
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 500.
Okay, Article 16, we don't have
We'll pause on that.
language for yet.
And, Mr. Chair, when we're, now we're talking about the quality of articles, if there's an appropriate where you'd like to deal with numbering of articles, at that time, I would like to make a comment.
You mean the order?
Great time for us to know your order of articles.
Now would be it?
Okay, well, given that we have way down at the Article 34, I believe, the comprehensive plan. And the comprehensive plan, that's been 3 years of work by the planning board, and is kind of the aspirational and policy look forward for the community as a whole. I think it would be a position of strength, and we've been asked by the planning board to introduce it early in the meeting, because in that far-reaching lookout, it might inform how we feel about the investments that get us there step by step by step. And I would ask for the consideration of us as a group that we introduce it just after the consent calendar instead of at the end of the meeting.
So certainly it's the select board that determines where these go. Thoughts from the board
I'm okay with it.
to move it up?
Yeah.
Okay, just a question. What's going to go with the presentation of the comprehensive plan? Is there going to be
There is a
a big PowerPoint
Yes.
thing?
George is laying it out now, and the planning board's refining it. Some of us were able to attend the meeting this week with a dry run of it.
It'll be concise. We hope.
If you say so.
You said so.
George is a man of few words.
He really
He's good,
is.
he's good at
Good
that.
charts.
Okay, so I don't think we need to vote on that, but the sense is to move up what's now numbered 34, right before the land acquisition of the
Actually, the
fire.
general, might as well move up the general action section, right?
Well, I was thinking about that, but then I'm thinking, you're gonna have Elizabeth for both, for the
Right.
year-round housing trust and for that, and so if we're trying to get to the fire station,
Yeah.
right, might as well
Exactly.
just leave. That's what I was literally just saying to Mark, like, should we move the whole thing, but
No,
I
I
think,
don't think so.
yeah.
Just 30, just 34.
What's 34? Okay.
Mr. Chair, if you're
Okay.
comfortable, I move that we place and support current Article 34 into the position of Article 16, the comprehensive plan.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did I hear you, Michael?
Yes, aye.
500. Okay, good. So let's stay with the numbering that's here. So 17, fund construction, new fire rescue station?
We're not going to do 16? Oh, we don't know.
We,
Yeah, we're holding
we'll come back to that probably next week, you guys.
There's some language adjustments I want to just confirm with Karis, but
So
this article's probably fine. but we can move it, we can hold it.
Till next week?
I would wait till
Yeah,
next
I
week on
think that one's a hold, just,
16 and 17.
yeah.
Are we comfortable with the dollar number on 18, or should we wait?
Yes.
Good on that? Bills of prior year, somebody want to?
Sometimes you do that right,
Yeah,
We're good.
We're good? Okay. Yeah, then I move we place and support Article 18,
bills of prior year.
bills of prior year.
Second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. 500. Yeah, operating budget.
Mr. Chair, I move and, that I propose that we move and support the fiscal year 27 operating budget as listed in our package.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Only thing I'd say is if there's like a minor tweak on numbers with schools after Kim and Mark confirm, next week we have an opportunity to update, but we're good. All right? So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 500. On a roll, Mark. Keep going.
20 through 22, if you want to.
We could do all the enterprise funds.
Yep.
20 through 22.
Actually, you can even do 23, it's just adopting the CIP. It's up to you.
Okay,
So Articles 21 through 23?
20.
20 through
20 through
23.
23. I move that we place and support 20 through 23.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I mean,
Go ahead.
I don't mind placing the support. We don't have the numbers in here on this sheet that we're placing and supporting this.
They're in the,
I know, but
they're in our packet.
the public is not.
Budget numbers, you want me to read them off?
I think if we're
Enterprise
going
fund.
to be placing these, yeah, I would like to make sure we're, or
Budget numbers are,
at least recommending.
Yep.
The numbers.
see, number one is speeches. Speeches is 3,138,979.
For which,
Beaches.
oh, beaches, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sewer enterprise is 3,595,079. And sewer transfer station is 1,448,626. That's it.
CIP is the CIP.
CIP is just
You've
the
got it.
adopting of that plan, not necessarily a number.
Are we good to vote? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 500. Thank you.
And those numbers, just so you know, are the same as what you had going quite a ways back.
Right.
Next, you have the capital budget article, which I did send you all a draft last Thursday.
Hmm?
Any thoughts, comments on the structure of that?
You added the totals. That looks great. I mean, are folks seeing that this is detailed information? Everyone can see every item by sub-motions, motion 20-1, 20-2. I think this should avoid any
Confusion,
confusion that we may encounter.
or at least we can address it
That's the,
right away.
that's the goal. And then you have those three-quarter projects that are in a separate motion to avoid what we experienced last year.
Exactly. So folks comfortable with the funding of the FY27 capital budget?
Yes.
Would someone like to place and recommend?
Motion? Mark is going, my job. I'm looking for the total. So because you know who's going to ask for the monetary total.
Well, just,
Why would we ask that?
Right.
No, it's not a total, though. They're totaled
Just to
by
fund
motion,
the
so
budget.
it's.
Right, each,
Okay.
It's
So I
different.
move that we place and support the FY '27 capital budget.
second.
all right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just a question, Mark, the inclusion of numbers in this document, can we get a copy of that relatively quickly with
Oh,
Because we're using a scorecard.
the budget numbers up
Yeah.
there? Yeah.
Great. Okay. The next one is Phase 4 preliminary design, which is why Rich Waldo has been sitting in the back of the room for over 3 hours. So, Rich, come on up. And happy to have Finance Committee members here because we did receive their request that we defer this till the fall. Rich had a conversation with AECom, put together a memo and supporting information I shared with you, I shared with FinCom leadership, and take us through why it still is recommended to be here.
Yeah, so Rich Waldo, Director of Public Works, Natural Resources. First off, just want to say, understand the difficult situation you guys are in, just going through all these articles, funding sources, and trying to make these decisions, support them. You know, as you can imagine, the planning process for any phase of wastewater is extremely extensive, not only from the preliminary phases, but the design phases throughout construction. Post-construction with the connections, just an insurmountable amount of planning. And one of the key things that we shoot for on a new phase is to get us in a good position for both funding and financing opportunities, namely SRF, that provides us with 0% interest long-term financing, as well as the Cape and Island Water Protection Fund that covers 25% of the cost of each phase. So that is the big driver of what this request is. Obviously, we want to advance Phase 4. We have a sewer treatment plant that is operational. We have Phase 1 that is now connected. We have Phase 2 that is about to be connected, Phase 3 that we're about to open a bid, and then there's Phase 4, which is the next part, which is you know, an equally critical phase in terms of meeting our Pleasant Bay compliance as we've been striving for. So the main driver of why we do not recommend delaying this into the fall is namely to make sure that we can meet the obligations of the SRF. The first requirement that they require is a project evaluation form. That is usually, you know, received in July. We anticipate that being received in July of 2027. The key of that initial filing is to provide the most accurate cost, you know, assessment of the Phase 4 project that we're proposing. So we need to get as much information as we can before we do that filing in July of 2027. So what does that mean? We got to get out there, we got to do ground surveys, we got to do aerial surveys, we got to identify where a pump station's going to go. Conceptually, we have it. We need to definitively define that location. We need to size the pipe, we need to size the services to each one of those. It's an incredible amount of work that needs to be done in a short window between the time funding is approved to the submission of July 2027. If this funding was delayed until special town meeting in the fall, which from what we understand would be a late November fall town meeting, special town meeting, that window to get ready for the July 2027 submission would be too tight. What we just saw this past winter, we had snow coverage from the end of November through just a couple of weeks ago. There was no survey that could be done in that. So we put ourselves in that same position. We're not going to be able to get out there, collect that data that we need to put together an accurate PEF application to DEP. What are the implications if we don't have an accurate number? One, we could completely evaluate our request for funding to DEP. And if that gets the case, then we get on to the IUP with a funding approval that is significantly less than what the project cost is. And that would be something that would be borne by the town as well as the Sewer Enterprise Fund. something that we don't want to do, and we also don't want to overshoot a funding amount. We, as a as a whole, Cape Cod, we're all striving for the same funds to move forward with wastewater. We want to give an accurate number. If we overshoot that mark, we could risk the possibility of funding being divided into 2 separate years, separated in 2 separate years, which just prolongs the process, makes things more difficult. So it is my high recommendation that we don't postpone it at this time. Now, I will caveat to say, I understand the concerns of Finance Committee. We are working on those financial models, those long-term financial models. I'll tell you what Waterworth was intended for initially, but I'll tell you the tool is very powerful in what we can do. So we contracted with Waterworth so we can understand a good rate analysis to keep the enterprise fund within the box of the enterprise fund as a whole, what that financial numbers look. What I don't want to do is drain our cash balance and then be in a position where we can't fund the operation of the enterprise fund. So we want to put a projection together, not only what the portion of debt service it is for each phase of construction. We want to know what the routine capital replacement is to operate the system, changing carbon filters, changing pumps, doing necessary improvements to the pump station. We want to put that all out into a spreadsheet. We want to put together our anticipated increase in revenue from each phase when they come online, when that hits, when does capital investments hit, in a negative, just so we can make sure our cash balance stays well. The reason why is we set rates for sewer. Right now, we're $8 per thousand for water usage. Town of Provincetown, $16 per thousand. Town of Harwich is $3 per thousand. I want to make sure that our rate number is set right, and we have to put these data together. Waterworth is a powerful tool. So once we set that enterprise fund set, then we can look outside of that and see what the long-term capital, impact is for, let's just call it the other 80%, which is really the taxation part that hits the tax dollars. We can do that. We can do that analysis, see that, and then blend that into the overall financing of the town and things like that. But, phase 4 is a critical phase. Need the flow for the operation. We haven't come close. I shouldn't say we haven't come close, but we're still under the obligation through the Pleasant Bay, community, the Pleasant Bay permit to meet that. Phase 4 is going to be a critical phase to be able to get us that much closer to that. Long-term planning, we continue to monitor what the actual flow is coming into the plant versus what we preliminarily planned, what those numbers, how they correlate. We might not have 16 phases. It's still too early to tell. We might have 12, might have 10. But one thing for sure is we're going to have phase 4. We need phase 4. We've got to move that forward. So understand there's some big ticket items on this warrant. Understand the thought process. But this is, very critical to keep things moving for wastewater.
Rich has shared a lot of data, and again, you are an incredible leader for the town in this area with your knowledge base, but you pointed out things like utilization of the plant. It is an underutilized resource right now. Plugging this in brings more revenue in. Moving it out makes the plant have to carry more burden than an anticipated flow. The other thing too is if you look at our spreadsheet for this article, it's 2.7. If I remember right, and you've worked with AECOM to refine this down to just the amount needed, it was much higher than this back in January.
It was 5.5 million.
Yeah.
5.5, we dropped it down to 2.9, dropped it down to 2.7. So we are very cognizant of, the ask that we're asking for the town. And, we're going to continue to refine those numbers and make our projections as accurate as we can moving forward.
Great. Any questions of the board on MEF, please?
Rich, I completely understand the phase 4 reasoning that you just explained, but I think I just want to hear your thoughts on the bigger. I think the question from the FinCom was really, is there a way to start spreading out future phases in such a way that the hit, the taxation hit is lessened, And I don't know whether that would be true or not, but is somebody going to be reviewing, let's say, that planned out phasing and seeing what might be accomplished by, let's say, skipping a couple of years between phases and see if that's worth anything?
I'll tell you what, I mean, we've always planned every 3 years. I think based on discussion and feedback that we got today, it's something that we can certainly look at to see when and where we could, based on those financial models, because that's the powerful tool about having these financial models that we can tweak and we can change. We can say, okay, what if we don't do that every 3 years? We do it every 4 years. What happens when, an extra year of less revenue from usage coming into the plant? How can we absorb the contract increases that we have? How can we absorb the increase in costs that we have there? And that's really the goal. So building a really good financial model, we'll be able to make those adjustments, give better answers.
Yeah, I also would request that we look at not just the debt service, but the cost of construction. Design gets us to construction. So my fear is that if we delay getting those accurate cost estimates so that we risk construction timetables, many of us know that it can be millions of dollars from year to year in terms of cost escalation. And that's got to be weighed against the value of how debt service plays in terms of, it's never one calculation.
Yeah, I think these are all considerations, certainly the wastewater management advisory committee is certainly looking at, as well as our team on staff and our consultants.
And remember, to the additional phasing, Mev, we started with a 6-phase.
Yeah.
Back 3 years ago, we received a blessing from DEP, which was a stretch, to extend 6 to 16.
Right.
And we burned right in there. The reason was other capital projects that the town needed to balance to serve, and they supported it. The other thing is, the Pleasant Bay watershed permit also got a 5-year extension, folks. So we have actually been able to get relief as long as we're demonstrating compliance. So there have been many efforts made by a lot of people working to be sure that this town is looking after the environment, but also being very fiscally responsible. So, thanks, Rich.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Please.
In terms of using the model for projecting the financing and how.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Happens when you're outside all day, Thank you.
I just dropped it, sorry.
That's all right. I've been vaccinated against ticks 20 years ago, so I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Health and safety.
It's a personal board, personal service.
Where were you,
Well,
Mark?
I mean, I saw him, at first I wasn't sure, but then he reached his arm, then I saw him crawling, so.
You've
Sorry.
been on one
We
today.
have a great team.
I'm just gonna let that tick crawl in his face
Intimacy.
while he's talking? No.
So as Mark is, remember what he was asking.
I know, so, I'm just wondering if the model has the ability to look at the outcome of some of the zoning bylaw changes that we instituted last fall in the overlay district, for instance, where we have now the potential for much more development, which is in an area that already has the pipes in the ground. So we don't have to spend money in order to make money in terms of revenue from any new connections that come in those areas. And the other potential possibility would be in Seward areas, based on new state regs, where ADUs by right are a possibility, especially in a Seward area, where you don't have to follow Title V constraints anymore. So that has the potential for a big plus side on the income end of it. We looking at that potential as well as we look down the road to phases in the future?
Right now, no, but can we? Yes. I mean, I know it's a fairly new overlay. I think we would probably want to see what kind of impacts those have. So, I mean, because of the fact that we can change our assumptions along the way, particularly as we get more and more data. So once we start to see, let's just say, more flow requests come into the Board of Water Sewer Commissioners, we can track that. We can track the additional connections or requests for additional flow in the Board of Water Sewer Commissioners, as well as the actual revenue that we're bringing in. So we get the revenue, user revenue 4 times a year. So we can plug those numbers in as we go and almost have a real-time adjustment to that model as we go.
Okay, thank you.
Good point.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
thank you very much, Rich.
One, Mr. Chair.
Please.
Rich and I have been talking about the title of this article and the idea of shifting it off of the specifics, like there's more to this than just preliminary design. And so we haven't nailed down exactly the title, but an idea that Rich had was calling it FY27 CWRMP implementation. So that title kind of is all-encompassing, and then the article may do more than just preliminary design. So thoughts on?
But it is focused on phase 4.
It is. It is.
Yeah, Matt, go
I
ahead.
just would have a suggestion that when you word it, using sewer instead of CWRMP is, I think.
Those are some of the things I think I told Mark, give me to the end of the week and let me come up with something. I prefer to use the word wastewater, but also
whatever.
the transition from CWRMP to wastewater. Now, a couple of things that Mark alluded to. So, most of this article is phase 4 preliminary design. What you have seen in the past was also additional articles for the support services that carries out the amended comprehensive wastewater management plan. Used to be 2 separate articles. We're putting them into one article and there's a few reasons for that. Strategy-wise, when they were in separate articles, it would be a direct hit to either the retained earnings or the wastewater stabilization fund. What we don't want to do is keep hitting that every single year, $250,000 for those same services that really are to carry out this amended comprehensive wastewater management plan. So it's really an effect to help the stability of the enterprise fund. Long-term is to be able to build up those reserves to meet, good policy, and then also lessen the burden, hopefully in the future, of the capital stabilization fund, the sewer stabilization fund, so that can be used however,
Debt service or
exactly, debt service. So I hope to have that answer to Mark, but I think I'd like to have it more towards a fiscal year approval, fiscal year wastewater approval, rather than tied to a particular phase.
Great.
Easier tracking.
So for the board, assuming the title will be improved, are we good placing and recommending at the 2.7?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
500. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
I just report so that, the town manager is feeling safe over here, is we found the tick, and the tick is dead. So we're good.
I mean, this is kind of a good PSA, it's warming up, tick season is back, Wear light clothing. It never
goes all year
ends.
round.
Well, there used to be a belief when it got so cold, they would go underground, but moving right along.
Yes.
Funding additional costs for Phase 3. And this, Rich, you might want to come up again. I'll kind of, this is a placeholder if necessary only.
Yeah, we're not.
We're not,
When are the bids being opened? Tomorrow?
he's the guy.
Yeah, so it's really a strategy here. So we're out to bid right now for phase 3 construction. Bids are opening April 28th.
After warrant is published.
After the warrant is
Second.
published. We feel very confident that the number that we have approved from previous town meetings is going to be sufficient to cover the bids that come in, but we don't know what they're gonna be. So if they are a little over 500,000, 1 million over, we would be able to have this article in place to be able to execute a contract for construction and still be able to take advantage of the SRF funding. SRF approval needs to be in by June 30th, and what we need to have is the contract in place, the approval for funding, and to be able to
They need the town meeting vote.
Exactly, need the town meeting vote. So we need to show the appropriation. This is a strategy that was done in the past. I thought it was genius. I think it's a great idea. Hopefully, we get it to the town meeting floor, and we indefinitely postpone this, as we won't need it. But it's really just a strategy to make sure that we can continue the project moving forward and not have to call a special town meeting a month later, 2 months later, for additional appropriation.
Mr. Chair, I move that we place and support Article 26 to fund additional costs for Phase 3 Lakes and Pond Sewer Collection Systems for $2.5 million.
Second?
And just a question from Mark.
Yes.
Will the summary or explanation be as clear as Rich just described it? I mean, that, we want to make sure that people, as they're reading it, know this is just only because of timing with printing the warrant.
Let me look at what I have here.
I mean, we
That's
can work on
straightforward.
that after,
Yeah,
but
it's straightforward.
just want to make sure that,
Well, whatever is there came from Rich, so.
okay, good. All right, I'll call for vote.
If it's not clear, we can make sure it is.
Perfect. All right. Everybody's multipassing tonight for some reason. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to cleaning and rehabbing well 7. This seems like a no-brainer.
No, this is funding from the Water Special
Water
Revenue
Reserve Fund.
And this is
You're
to
up, Andrea.
supplement.
I get the pleasure. I move that we place and support Article 27, cleaning and rehabbing of well 7.
Second.
One thing, Mark, on this one is you don't have a vote.
Yeah, we're looking for clarification on
Okay.
that because this is supplementing an existing project. So it's something that's already been approved. It is looking for additional funds, right, Rich?
Correct. So we rehabbed well 7, and during the process of rehabbing well 7, it was determined that they needed additional rehab to well 7. So while we have started the process, we want to finish the process. And I think I may have alluded to another meeting that we're hoping that this could be approved under the special town meeting to have funds available immediately so we can continue on that work within this fiscal year and not have to wait till fiscal year 27, which I think, Mark, correct me if
Yeah,
I'm wrong. if
we're
that's
good to
still
deal with immediate needs with this article.
Right.
Yeah.
All this question is quantum of vote. Is it simple, is it 2/3, or?
Is it 3/4?
Well, yeah.
We can figure that out.
There was a question about whether or not it needed to be 3/4 vote, which is why I left that blank for now.
Okay. All right, we good to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
500. CPA?
It's-
Michael did a great rundown a few weeks ago.
Yeah. I move that we place and support Article 28 to fund the fiscal year 27 CPC program budget.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would just make a point if I can after. It does kind of look a little deceiving at the 2 million where we've already, it's really not 2 million because we've already committed.
No, it's 2 million.
No, but we've already in the last town meeting, part of that was already committed in a vote because they voted for $3 million. That's now going to be 2 million because we're only,
No, town meeting has to authorize 2,018,426 in order to access that extra million.
no, I understand that.
Yeah.
But what I'm just trying to explain is the person reading this is going to think that we've already approved part of this. Do you know what I'm saying? Last
Yes,
time
but
meeting,
you-
we approved 3 million.
Sure.
Just to authorize us to bond.
Mhm.
We're actually now going to go to only bond 2 million.
Yes, but you're
Because we're
spending a
using-
million. right?
Exactly.
So you have to authorize $1 million here.
No, I know we have to
That's 2
authorize
million.
it, but somehow in the explanation, it could explain.
It says,
go.
it does say that.
Explanation does say it'll,
It came
Didn't
from,
see
it came from CPC, so whatever's there is what they had, which talks about,
It is 2 million at the way bottom.
are we good?
I'm just looking at what they gave me.
It's okay. We don't need to do it now.
But on the place,
If we're all clear, you feel that's, I don't want to get tripped up on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's not
I
even.
think it's something that needs to be verbally explained as well,
Yes.
because it is a little complicated.
Yeah.
But in the chart, it says contribute 1 million to reduce the total amount bonded for this project, originally 3 million. Approved at the special town meeting, November 17th, 2025. This allocation does not increase previously approved funds.
Okay, I hope so. Yeah, because it's not going to be on the floor. I'm worried about it. It's the lead up when people read this and they see it. They're already going to have maybe made their minds up. I don't want to have to backtrack them off of something, but if it's clear to everybody, then
Is there other language that you would consider for that?
I don't know. I'm just
Okay.
bringing it up.
Okay.
Well, we
What I'm
have
saying is
until-
we should take a look at it.
We have until April 11th to go to press, right?
Second.
We are looking to have this out the door by next Friday.
Yeah.
Next Friday.
We want to be ahead of schedule.
3rd,
If everything goes well next week, that's what my goal is.
with Finance Committee votes in too?
Yep.
And just on this question, though, the most current warrant language is dated March 19th, right?
That's the most up to date.
And so after tonight, there'll be another update.
Exactly.
That we can,
We'll see next week.
Yep. Probably have it to you tomorrow.
yeah, that would be good.
So we do have a motion on the floor. We've had good discussion. Are we ready to vote?
We voted it.
We voted.
Oh, we did vote it?
I was just adding something.
Thank you. It's getting really late.
It's late.
Where are we?
Article
29.
29.
Conservation restriction.
Mr. Chair, I move that we place and support Article 29, purchase 32 Locust Road Conservation Restriction.
Move.
Can somebody else second it?
Second.
So as,
Question?
yeah, just a quick disclosure that I have to do and MEF will have to. I don't see a conflict, but just a disclosure, I'm a trustee with the Orleans Conservation Trust on this matter.
As am I.
Okay.
And I don't see a conflict.
Right. Me-
It's a general.
So, my question is, and I was not here when this article was discussed, when you reviewed them before, but in the past, we've had, the town assume the conservation restriction on property that's owned by the Conservation Trust. And somewhere along the line, I'm thinking it might have been down on Port Inimicut where we had property. And we thought we were just getting property for conservation reasons, and then we found out that we were going to have to build a parking area and maintain a parking area and maintain the trails.
That was, yeah, the Heaton gift, yep.
Yeah, and that, I questioned that at the time, and Mike Ford was the town attorney at the time, and his response was, you know, expending public funds creates a public obligation to maintain that property, maintain those things, to improve that. And that's why, even though the town didn't own the property, the town was on the hook to build and maintain the parking area and the driveway and the trails. So I'm wondering, are we getting into the same situation here at Locust Road?
Let's invite Steve O'Grady to our next meeting, so we'll pause on this one.
Okay, and just, and not that I'm opposed to the property itself.
Understood, yeah.
But I'm wondering if this is something
Yep,
that we
let's-
should be looking at in terms of its proximity to the downtown.
Mhm.
We've just created the overlay district where we expect to have, you know, an even more vibrant
Mhm.
walking village.
Mhm.
Here's an area that should be maybe no parking areas.
Let's defer on this one.
People walk to
Yeah.
it and go that route.
Yeah.
So there's no further expense to the town.
All good, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So you want to send a quick invite to Steve? Or I could too.
Molly, do you mind reaching out?
I'll do it.
Okay, fund, the Conservation Fund.
Mr. Chair, I move that we place and support Article 30, funding the Conservation Fund.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I would only just remind the conversation that, I mean, I would love to see us in next year really try to work into the budget the maintenance and try and figure that out.
Special project.
We increased that line after that conversation to match what John felt would be best going forward. So it went from 17,000 to 20, which is what John believes is the sweet spot.
Okay, good. Thank you for doing that. I didn't hear that. Thank you.
We didn't.
But just to clear up, part of this is also funding that revolving account.
Yes.
Multi-year.
We're not going to be able to avoid having that as a town meeting vote.
Right, gives them flexibility. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 500. Funding water quality testing and monitoring.
Mr. Chair, I move that we place and support Article 31 to fund water quality testing and monitoring.
Second.
Any discussion?
This one also, I had brought up, the discussion of Cedar Pond, and I've had a lot of conversations since then. I've been assured that they are working on a plan and that this will not go forever. It has been, I think I mentioned, it's been going on for, it could be close to 10 years now, and there was no plan end in sight, and I'm hoping that all of these testing and things like that, we have a defined plan, and that things aren't just going to go year in and year out.
No.
That's why the amount went up.
That's right.
They've added 35,000 to actually work on a plan.
No, it was in there. That was in there before, but there's the testing, and then the 33,000, was it? That was in there before. That was the question before. That there is no plan. We just keep testing.
Well, but it's deep water. This is to move
But
into
that's
deep
not,
water.
I guess, the philosophy
Testing.
of that we make sure whatever is going forward is, not has an end date, but that has a scope of a project that we know what we're looking to do to complete.
Right.
It was a test at the beginning, it then just rolled into happening every year. It's been a decade, it's been over $500,000 with no other end in sight. So all I'm saying is, I would like to make sure.
Can reframe the challenge.
Like to make sure that when we're not just continuously approving things without looking at them and trying to have a concrete plan.
And I think the goal is still to stabilize and return to health, all of Cedar Pond, not just the shallow water that we know. I think that the end goal is a healthy body of water. How we get there is not clear yet.
Okay, I'm more thinking just the philosophy of us approving things without having a plan.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor of this
Aye.
one?
Aye.
Aye. 500, I guess. All right, Mill Pond water quality. Improvements.
No one else is doing this.
No, it's your
Mr.
job.
Chair,
This is the way it's been going. Go ahead, Andrea.
I move that we place and support the Article 32 Mill Pond water quality improvements.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
500. Establish year-round housing trust.
Wait on this one.
We'll wait. We already done the comprehensive plan.
Did you place
I don't think we
that?
did,
You
actually.
place it.
Oh, we didn't?
Voted, well, I suppose you said you wanted
We
it as
placed it.
Article
we
16,
did.
but.
We did.
I did. I
Yeah.
said place and support the comp
Okay.
plan.
Okay. Next is Special Purpose Stabilization Fund for affordable housing. Are we ready for this one?
Yes. This is the same article as you had in November, so the language is
Okay.
set.
I
Motion?
have the year-round housing trust next. Is that correct?
No.
No, this is,
We just deferred that one.
wasn't this the fix that we had to repeat?
Yes, we have to repeat the vote.
We have to repeat the vote because of the 2/3.
Okay, so established, I move that Article 36, that we place and support to establish a special purposes stabilization fund for affordable housing and local infrastructure project.
Moved.
I'll second it. It's actually, if we're going off this list, it's still technically 35.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you're right. I'm so tired, I can't see the number.
That's all right, you read it, so it's.
Exactly.
It's supported, and we'll put it where it
Any
needs to
discussion
be.
on this one? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next up, last two, citizen petitions. So I know our petitioners in the audience. Tim, you've been waiting only 3.5 hours, but this was your petition to develop a long-range plan and prepare for it says nominal residential, but it's basically prepare for RTE. So
I'm very impressed with your stamina. So good afternoon, or good evening, I guess by now. I'm Tim Coonahan, 23 Herringbrook Way. And I watched last week's meeting in which Ms. North, Town Council, discussed my citizens warrant article on a resolution for the development of a long-range capital plan in preparation for a residential exemption. First, I agree with her determination that the article is advisory and non-binding, and that's I intended that in the way I wrote it. It's a request that the select board do something. And my goal is really to get a sense of the town meeting, right? The goal of that article is to give the town meeting the opportunity to voice their intents on both the capital long-range capital plan and the residential exemption. Secondly, I disagree with her comment that my article doesn't provide sufficient information on the long-range capital plan. As you all know, I was chair of the Long-Range Capital Planning Committee, and the town CIP and the CWMP are precisely the inputs we used to generate the long-range, a 20-year long-range capital plan, right? The addition that I have in here in the language is that I'm interested in seeing the impact on the tax rate, right? So I think any plan needs to consider not just the expenses, right, which it's easy to put a CIP together or a long-range capital plan that says this is what we're going to spend, but the goal is to get it to integrate with the revenue side, right, and the tax rate is the revenue side. So I think the language explicitly says identify their impact on the tax rate over the next 20 years, right? So there's the original charter of the Long-Range Capital Planning Committee was to be a 20-year long-range capital plan, and I'm just sort of speaking to that same charter and trying to get it to go out that far and to look at what the impact on the tax rate is going to be. And that, to me, is tied in with the residential exemption in terms of what we can do or you can do with the tools that you have at hand to modulate the impact of the taxes on our full-time residents. So, thirdly, I do agree with her comment that there is no appropriation for the software and overtime for the assessor's office, right? In a meeting I had with Kevin, Mark, and Brad back in January, we talked about this, and I think the recommendation, or what I came away with, was that I would try to make a motion on the floor to amend the budget, right? So to fund the amount that Brad Hinote believes that he needs to both buy the software and do the overtime to prepare for the residential tax exemption. But I have the citizens petition at the end because last year when I discussed this with Kim, she said that even if I put the money in the budget, she wasn't under any obligation to spend the money. So I wanted to both try to get the money into the budget and then have an article at the end that said the voice of town meeting was we would like you to spend this money to this effect. So that's why I'm sort of putting these two together. Let's see. And Brad estimated, I think, that it was about $30,000. I will get an updated number from him, certainly before I go to the town meeting and make a motion to adjust the budget. I had been thinking that I would ask that the money, and again, this is while the budget is still wide open, that we take the $30,000 out of the stabilization fund or free cash. And I'm interested in your guidance on where I should take the $30,000 from. I think it's de minimis in terms of, the sum of those two accounts, I think, are something like 15% of our total budget. So on a $60 million, $9 million in there. $30,000 is not going to materially affect the reserves that the town has, but I would be interested in your opinion on whether I should go there. Let's see. Yeah, so that's framing what I'm trying to do with the warrant articles and a motion to try to fund this. But just a quick explanation as to why I'm doing this, right? I've been sort of the residential tax exemption advocate for the past, I don't know how many years I've been talking about it. But I'm doing it because, as has been discussed, the fire station alone will add about $1,000 a year to the average homeowner's property tax bill by 2031. Sewer and other capital projects will add even more. At the same time, 44% of Orleans households are cost burdened in spending more than 30% of their income on housing. And clearly property taxes is a significant portion of housing costs. 25% are severely cost burdened. That's over 50% of their income is going towards housing, right? I don't think associate that much with people in the lower income part of our community, but there are a lot of people in town that are cost burdened, and I think we have to recognize that. So, and this level of burden cannot be solved with one-off subsidies, right? I mean, I hear people talking about trying to do a one-off subsidy, but when you're talking about 25% of the population, that just is too much. We must structurally alter our taxing methodology to protect these residents from being forced out of town. A residential tax exemption and insight into projected tax rates will allow you, the Select Board, to moderate the impact of capital projects on the town's most vulnerable population. So, thank you. And I would be interested in if you have a recommendation on where I should take the $30,000 from, or recommend that it be taken from, or you just don't want to comment on it.
It's not on our agenda. If you present something, send an email.
Okay.
And we'll consider it.
Okay.
I would also say the board voted 4-1 against this just 4 months ago and gave clear direction on what they wanted to do for the next year. So they would not, since they've recommended a balanced budget at this point, find a funding source for a thing that they did not agree to do.
So
I'm not asking you to fund it. I'm asking.
I'm going to stop right now.
Okay.
All right. We put any request in writing. You have a few days to do it for us to even consider it at our meeting next week.
Okay.
So next up on this petition, does the Select Board want to take any position? Citizen petitions automatically go on. I learned that just a few days ago, but we have a choice to take a position on this if we'd like.
So Mr. Chair, we don't have to place it? They'll automatically placed?
Automatically on.
Great.
But we do have an option if we'd like to recommend a position of support. Okay.
And you can,
I would go on the record as supporting it.
you can certainly support as individuals too at the meeting.
floor.
right? Or not support, your choice.
The next one is, there's no title, but it's entitled COA Assistant Director. I see Susan's here. Anything you'd like to share, or? So the petition is on the warrant. It'll be printed in the way you presented it, Susan, with the signatures. I mean, it's great to have you here, share your thoughts. Again, we'll have the moderator here in a few weeks to kind of go through articles so that they can anticipate how the flow might go. I mean, we understand there'll be, certainly presentation by Mr. Coonahan. You have any thoughts how you might be taking this to the floor?
Yes, I do have thoughts, because today, excuse me, today the assistant town manager came to the Council on Aging meeting, and we had a very good briefing about where this stands and the selectmen's support of putting this in the budget earlier this month. And there was no vote on that by the committee, but I think the sense was that we were very happy to hear about that. and to take that in consideration, and felt that that really solved our problem. We were very, I think we spoke about how much we appreciated the support from the administration and the selectmen on this. And I think we were very pleased with how things have turned out. In light of that, I think I would move to definitely postpone this article. If it's there, so I think that would do it.
Great.
I liked your idea earlier of reminding people that there were items that need to be supported at the election. And if that could somehow get into the conversation, would
You'll
be
have the
wonderful.
floor right before we close the meeting, so perfect time.
Excellent.
Did suggest to Susan today that it may make more sense to raise that thought on the budget article, because that's where it's relating to the override.
Yeah, that's true too.
Whatever you think is best. Anyway,
Okay.
so thanks again.
All right, thank you very much. Are we good with town meeting warrant article review?
The only one, if I may, Mr.
Go ahead.
Is the establish of the year-round housing trust. Has the Affordable Housing Trust voted on this? Have they?
I don't know what the status of the vote is, but they have been talking about it since we got the seasonal communities money to hire the
'Cause
work.
I saw the percentage change. Did it change, or am I just imagining? We had just recently, not recently, when I was on the trust, we moved it up to 200%.
It's 220 for the seasonal communities.
220, but then there's 250 in here, and I thought I saw in the previous version it was 300. So I'm just trying to understand where this number's coming from. I know Elizabeth's working on it.
Yes.
Is the trust voted?
No,
If they
the
did,
trust has not officially voted.
I think they need to weigh in on this.
Well,
They have time.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
just haven't done it
I
yet.
don't want to get to next week and not mention it.
Good.
We do have time.
Well, I mean, they,
Some conversation about whether or not they can even have a change in what they, there may need to be a separate year-round housing trust. That's what some of the
I thought
discussion has
I
been.
thought that's what this was
Right.
about.
Yeah.
No, it says in here that it would be not changed, it would just be added responsibilities.
I was part of the
Call?
Seasonal Communities Advisory Commission, specifically inserted that the same members, and I use the example, just as we are select board members and park commissioners, I use that analogy, so the language should allow the same body
Yeah.
to be the same people. They may have to
Yeah.
say, we're acting now as the year-round.
It had to do with, and we're working on that piece, because it does give that, but something to do with tax exemption status is different for a year-round housing trust, and so that's created some questions around, how does this actually come together?
Yeah, okay. Okay. So, good point, Michael. I think we have gone all the way to Select Board Liaison updates.
Mr. Chair, given the hour and the fact that we still have to go into executive session, I would request that we delay future agenda items and liaison updates until the next meeting.
Second.
Okay, that's a motion and second to delay liaison reports to next week, April 1st.
And future agenda.
And future agenda. I heard it as a motion, so all in favor?
Aye.
We're moving. All right, folks, we'll be taking a motion to go into executive session and returning only to adjourn. So, a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move we go into executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property located on Eldridge Parkway, and that you declare that an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the negotiating position of this public body, and that we reconvene in open session for the purpose of adjournment.
Moved
Second.
and seconded. The chair does declare that an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on our negotiating position. I will call for a roll call vote before we go into executive session.
I, Andrea Reed.
I'm Michael Herman.
Kevin Galligan.
I'm Efrenian.
I'm Mark Matheson.
We are